Why is the stream offline?
Go with it.
Hi. Okay, I guess we're live. Now we're live on the pregame show.
Emily is watching fail videos until 7:30.
Because she logged in early.
Oh, yes. There it goes. Now it's coming out.
Ooh, we can get some critical mention.
We can.
So,
Hey, Ugo likes tacos.
Oh, that's me. Oh, okay.
So we'll have some questions here.
Should I be like closer?
Oh yeah.
Put on a hat.
Yeah, you need a hat.
And let's get a pre-game selfie going.
So we'll go through your history a little bit, who you are, your team, Ipswich, not in London. You just found out.
Are you serious, British man? Yeah.
It's chilly in here. Damn it.
Oh, what a quick. You'll get another chance.
I know I will.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Tom, can you? Oh, okay. Never mind. I need my hat. Can you reach my bag or no? I get it. I mean, making Mark do things is kind of fun.
Can we have a moment of silence for Don Ruiz too, for a moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably have this in the
We'll do it in the show too. Yeah. I'm assuming you've met Don, talked to Don.
I've never met him, actually.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay.
But I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
Got till Saturday.
Yeah.
All the random rings.
Yeah.
Get the touchdown for me. Right.
Who got you a touchdown?
Kayla. I know.
Hey, Kayla, do you have any 7-Up? Do you have any 7-Up? Yeah. Okay. Make sure it's on. Make sure it's chilly.
7-Up chasers for everyone.
Good Lord.
Get it? 7-Up. I'm just messing with
7-Up
Hugo.
chasers for when Ugo punches
No, you're good. I'm
Aaron
just
in the
messing with
face.
Bring the whole bottle.
Oh, no, he's going to
7-Up?
do the Chile joke again. Don't worry.
No, yeah, don't worry. No, don't worry. Don't worry, Alex. I'll be doing it a lot tonight.
That Alex is pretty funny.
He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
We were gaming. We play GTA, and we always mess with him. And one night we were like, he goes, just don't call me Alex on the stream. So of course that next week and every week since then I've called him Alex on the stream.
Oh, it's not Alex?
No, it's not Alex. It's Alec. Yeah. Or it's Cowboy
See, I
Dave.
hit 40 recently, so I've kind of reached
I think
the
when you're
age
getting
where I don't need
heckled
to worry
even by
about
the
technology
production
anymore.
crew.
Except for the
Yes.
fact that I work
Pretty
for a
messed up.
technology
Yes.
company, so that's a bit of a problem.
Mark has a really nice scarf, though.
You want to borrow it?
I mean, kind of.
You can borrow it. You're on camera.
What's your feeling about Anaheim chili peppers?
Their weak sauce.
Okay.
What about Skyline chili?
What's Skyline chili?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's like spaghetti sauce, except worse.
Chili, Colorado.
Chili Colorado. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Really warm scarf, I think.
I don't know. I was chilly, so I put mine
You
on.
know the worst is it's going to be one day. It's going to be one day and he's going to go, remember all those chili jokes? And then it's just going to unload.
He could have
You
his
know, if
day
you
as
hadn't
early
said
as
something in a
tomorrow.
text message, I wouldn't have even said anything about it at all.
I mean, just be careful, because I hope you brought that cup.
I did.
No, you're right across.
I know. I know. That's why my legs are crossed.
Yeah, seriously,
Keep
for all
them-
of you at
keep
home,
them crossed.
if you make any sort of Chile jokes to Ugo and he sees you in public,
He will.
make sure you have on a cup.
kick
Make
you
sure you're
in
wearing
the
it.
nuts.
Just letting you guys know. Fair warnings.
All
Fair
right.
warnings.
right.
Fair
Seems fair.
warnings.
So we're sounding good. We're looking good. We're making lots of chili jokes.
Well, 3 out of 4 you look good.
That's one.
Good choice, Todd. Don't ever read or respond to the comments.
Oh my God, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
No comments. Hey, Kayla, can I get a Tito's on the rocks? Can you get a moment?
Did you turn your mic
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't scare me.
Single. Sorry, I didn't want to yell into it as I was yelling to get my drink.
Well, that's a first.
I know. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Shall we go? Are you
I'm
ready?
good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any questions for us before we start?
Sorry?
Any questions for us before we start?
No, go for it.
Are you
Okay.
chilly?
Chili.
Are you chilly?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SonarFeed, episode 177. Are you serious, Englishman?
1-7.
I haven't annoyed that
177.
since the top of Teotihuacan.
Nice. Oh, that's right. He said the top of
Scared the life out of me. I thought he'd fallen over and fallen down the side of the pyramid, but it was just Hugo being Hugo.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. We were at the very top, and I decided to do a 360 with my phone, screaming out, "Oh yeah!"
Scared the life
On the
out
top
me.
of the pyramid?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, boys and girls, welcome into episode 177
That's
of
right.
Seven,
SonarFeed.
seven.
177. It's a good thing it's not 178, otherwise Hugo would kill me with all the Chile jokes I've been making before the show.
78. Why is
Isn't that the code? Oh, no, that's 187. Never mind. I see I didn't even do my joke right. I lost my own joke. I got a Chile joke in, so it's
You
okay.
actually win for being least hood person on
I
the
did.
show.
I did. I win. I win.
Pretty close.
I win.
Pretty
Okay.
close.
No
So
idea
in
what
10
he's talking about.
episodes,
So there's in the 1990s there was a song, a rap song, and it was called 187, and it had a lot of 187 is the police code for
murder.
Oh, okay. All right.
So sorry, 10 of we're 10 episodes away.
Right.
So you can't kill me for 10 episodes.
No worries.
So I get to make it through the rest of the summer. Although, to be honest with you, maybe the way the season's going, I might be dead by the time we get to episode 187. But anyway, so my name is Aaron Riley, a.k.a. Sonar Riley. Across from me,
Hugo Garcia, a.k.a. Me Vida Seattle on Twitter.
to my right, your left.
Tom Biro, a.k.a. Bougie Hooli.
And my right, my left, your right.
Simon Moyse, who doesn't use Twitter.
There you go.
Probably smart.
Yeah, probably good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So we'll talk tonight about who you are, Simon. Get to know you a little bit.
Yes.
I know at a high level, you're a big supporter of football here, or soccer in the United States and in England. You've
And in
written for
Mexico.
and in Mexico, and you've written for the PI blog and your own blog and a couple other things you got going on there. So we'll talk about that. We'll touch on Siete a Acero.
Good job. Good job.
Good
job.
And I'm wearing my cup and crossing my legs at the same time for that one. And then we'll talk a little bit, I suppose, at some point about the debacle in Harrison last night as well.
Maybe throw in a little U.S. men's team.
Yes,
action
yeah. To
against
talk a little bit about Copa, a little
Argentina.
bit about the Euros.
A little bit about
since
the
the Euros. Since I've been
Euros.
watching
Yeah,
quite a
love
bit
it.
of that.
I thought it's because they thought they were playing New York.
Oh, they didn't plan to
So
play in New York,
you're
but not
on
New
my
Jersey.
blocking that.
That's a good answer, Mark.
Well, no one's heard that joke before.
No.
Yeah.
So
Which one?
it is
It is
about
relevant.
Harrison being in New Jersey or
Oh,
the
okay. I
the
remember
Red
the
Bulls.
New
We
York
will
Super
talk
Bowl
about
I went
Don
to was
Ruiz.
in New Jersey.
Yes, and Don Ruiz leaving. We'll definitely talk about that as well. So
Man, crazy. Wow.
what should we talk about first?
Let's talk
Let's
about
get to know our guests, huh?
let's talk about chili. It's getting chilly in here.
What was your
We can talk about
favorite
that.
cartoon as a kid?
My favorite cartoon as a kid.
Chili Willy. It's a little penguin, Chili Willy.
That might be before my time.
Okay. But it was
You know who that
chili.
is?
I have no idea.
I love that it's like minute 2, and these jokes are like, "Meh."
Hey,
Standard operating procedure.
Thank
for,
you.
For
Maybe
the
it's
opposite
because
side
I
of the table.
speak a little
Hey,
Spanish, and
my
hearing
Tito's
people
is
say
Chile.
chili is weird.
well, I know, but
No,
whatever.
but,
I was trying to keep it like somewhat.
Thinking about cartoons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You just got to
Yeah.
weave him in
My
like the
favorite.
middle, like when he's in a role about something.
Oh, I
and
will,
Super
don't worry.
excited,
I will.
or like happy about something, and then just drop it.
Have you never met me getting around him or seen me around
Drop
him?
that on him.
He's
Yeah, I
pretty
will.
standard.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Let's talk about Simon. Let's meet Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. So Simon, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you
Yes,
are,
sir.
a little bit of your history. When Ross was on, he went back to birth and kind of came forward. When some of the other folks were on, they kind of went back to the relevant. But just tell us who you are and
Yeah,
and
birth
all
is
that.
kind of relevant for me. So yeah, I was born in London, but my father was a devout Ipswich Town fan, and his father before him. They grew up on the in the east of England near Ipswich, and moved to England when I was like 1 year old. So I was born in London, but
How far from London is Ipswich?
well, it's about a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive.
Or
Okay.
from where I lived. I lived
Okay.
in southwest London, so I kind of had to go around London and up.
So growing up in London, you rooted for Ipswich, even though you grew up in London because you were born in Ipswich.
Well, I was born in London, but
Oh, in
my
London. Okay.
my father, like I said, my father and my grandfather were both Ipswich fans. So yeah, it was kind of a nightmare really, because my closest club was Wimbledon, And in the late 80s, they won the FA Cup in 1988, and out of the blue, they suddenly had a good team. So of course, I went to a school with a lot of Wimbledon fans, and I was literally driving past their stadium, for a 2-hour drive up to Ipswich to see, second division football. So, it was
That's fan.
But it never even crossed my mind to support anyone other than Ipswich. It was kind of rooted in my family history. So, it was just.
I know how that goes, sir. I know how that goes.
Exactly. So my dad took me to my first game when I was like 7 years old. First away game when I was like 9 years old. Supported Ipswich loyally up until I went to
college. Good job, Dad. Good job.
Yeah. Hi, Dad, if you're watching. We travelled all over the place. I always enjoyed away games more than home games, just because going home to a home game was nearly as long a drive as most of the away games we had. So we tended to go quite a lot of away games, and I definitely developed a love for traveling to see your team on the road, and you kind of get the hardcore there, and it's just everyone having a laugh and
how big was
out.
The stadium at Ipswich?
Ipswich Stadium now holds about 30,000, and back then it held a little more because this was in the days of the terraces and stuff. But
did you ever watch a match in the terraces, or were you too little?
No, I mean when we started, so Ipswich Stadium had 2 terraces at both ends, and then down one side it was seats at the top and terraces at the bottom. So that was kind of the more gentle terrace, I guess. But from a young age, my dad would take me, and I'd go and stand down the front, and then he would stand with his friends further back. So you'd kind of have all the kids. It was good, pretty cool, being on the terrace.
Yeah.
All the kids just kind of lined up at the front so they could see the game
the players
properly. So.
And be up close.
Yeah, it was good
That's
times.
awesome, man.
So as a kid, soccer was kind of my huge love. I kind of struggled to make friends and stuff at school, so for me, the terrace was the one place where I felt comfortable and where, you felt like you belonged, and all you needed to do was support and do your thing, and everyone loved you, and it was like a community, which I never really felt anywhere else as a kid. So it was not that I had a bad childhood, far from it, but definitely the terrace was the place that I loved to be, man.
That's awesome.
That's
man.
awesome.
At such a young age to have.
So
that
when you were
you.
going, then originally they had the terraces, and then after the 80s, obviously with some of the disasters and obviously hit like Hillsborough and some of that, then they kind of went away from that.
That's right. Yeah,
style.
it was kind of a regulation with everything really changed around 1992 with the start of the Premier League, and the Hillsborough disaster decided to make all the stadiums all-seater, which is. It's difficult to kind of say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I guess it was a good thing because soccer changed overnight, really. It became, the prices went up. Sky Sports, bought the rights to all the Premier League games, and the game instantly became more expensive.
Was that 99?
That was
89 or 92, yeah.
92.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
89, 80, or late 80s is when all the the Hillsborough, but
Hillsborough
also
was 89.
And 86 was the other one. Was the previous one, wasn't it?
Bradford was
Bradford,
86.
yeah, was the 86. I think it was,
then, Yeah, Hillsborough was 89.
89, yep.
There was, but yeah, it was. I think 92 was the year that they said that all the clubs in the top flight had to have all-seater stadia.
How old were you when the accident happened?
The Hillsborough?
Yeah.
I was 13, and that day I was actually at a game just down the road from Sheffield where that happened, which was
really?
at Bradford.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the weirdest day, man. I remember because it was both semi-finals were on that day of the FA Cup, and Norwich were in the other semi-final against, I forget who they were playing, Everton, I guess. And they announced the score of that game, and they didn't announce the score of the Liverpool-Nottingham Forest game. We were like, that's kind of weird, and we didn't really know what had happened.
Right.
And then it was only like on the train home, because we used to go to most of the away games by train. I remember just stopping at station after station, and you just, it was kind of one of the great traditions of English soccer was you go on the train to away games, and as you kind of made your way down, the line from going from north to south, you'd kind of pick up fans of different teams who had been to different games.
That'd be cool.
Which could have been, at times obviously was a cause for trouble, but most of the time it was pretty cool. But I just remember that night, like every station we stopped at, you would get fans coming on the train, and it was just like the eeriest thing, the fans in tears. People just couldn't. None of us could process what had happened, and we all knew the game would never be the same again.
No.
I didn't know until I got home exactly how bad it was.
Yep.
And I remember we picked up fish and chips around the corner before I went home, and I went home and I sat down. I just couldn't even eat. it was just sickening. It was
How
like
far was the game that you went to from that?
well, not far. Bradford's North Yorkshire, Sheffield's South Yorkshire, so it's probably 20, 30 miles at maximum.
So
Yeah.
from
But, you
here
know,
to Tacoma.
Away, Tacoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for most fans, it was like, wow, that could have been any of us.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, it hit home, I think, for everyone. So.
Well, I'm glad that, not to watching the ESPN 30 for 30 on the Hillsborough disaster was incredibly terrifying, fascinating. As a parent who brings my kids to the games, it's a different world. But bringing even to GA, let's be honest, GA for Portland, and especially before the wristbands, was scary, right?
yeah.
Not scary, maybe the wrong word, not comparatively, but it is. They've got a lot of people in there now. That with the wristbands, it's better. You don't have it 2 and 3 deep.
Right.
But there was, and I'm glad that finally they've come out this year and admitted that it was not the supporters. It wasn't us as football fans that caused that. It was the police and the people running it who made. Granted, not every fan is innocent either, but at the same point, it wasn't just silly English fans being crazy, which we've heard about in the Euros as well.
But I mean, I guess the great irony of it was that the reason the fences were there in the first place was because of the misbehavior of the fans.
Right.
And, it's difficult to kind of get over that fact.
That's right. Good point.
But everything about it is difficult, and I think the All-Seater Stadia has done a lot of negative things in England in terms of the atmosphere and the supporter culture and all that sort of thing. But to look back at those days, it's hard to feel sad to see them gone. So it is what it is. I guess you kind of have to. Hopefully, soccer will evolve one day back to the days when we can have terraces again and stuff. But yeah, it's.
Well, they just put some in down in San Jose, didn't they? In their new stadium down there. It's a modified terrace, right? So.
Well, I think they're getting it. I think Orlando's getting it.
That's right.
DC.
In
One
their
of the new. parks is
Colorado
getting
has
it.
their one, which is just comical because there's like 4 steps.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny when I saw that live.
Yeah.
They've just gone. I mean, England's just gone the whole other way.
Yeah.
It's like anything that they could regulate, they did.
Yep.
And I think you said it's like good or bad. I mean, it's sort of like things had to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's when you look at it now and like having friends that, either currently live in England and really don't go to games because they're like, it's super overpriced and I have a better time at a pub, and hearing from that supporters all go to pubs is kind of a downer.
It is. It really is.
It's not everywhere. I mean, you look at things like, I listen to the games on weekends. I have the TuneIn app, and I pay for that premium so I can listen to all the matches, which is one of the better things I think you could buy. But it's interesting to hear, like, there are weeks where in all the matches they won't mention the travel support at all.
No.
And it's depending on what stadium they're playing at and, like, what they allow and what they don't. And, then you'll see, like, the Cop and a few other places where they still kind of stand and do their thing and... I guess it's within whatever rules the stadium allows that day or something.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, at Ipswich, it was always weird because they would tolerate a certain amount of standing, but, after a goal or after an exciting incident or whatever. But then, if you stood up too long, they'd come along and be like, sit down, and we'd all dutifully sit down. And it was like,
for
really?
5 minutes.
This is
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. All right. So you were 13-ish, roughly. What is that transition?
Yeah.
Was happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, I kept supporting Ipswich until I went away to college and I went to West Wales for college. So I didn't get to too many games while I was there. Kind of picked it up again when I did my master's degree in Hull, which was kind of good travel distance for a lot of the northern teams that we were playing. And then kept on going after I left college. Then
Still rooting for Ipswich.
Still rooting for Ipswich, yeah. And then moved here in 2004. Never supported the USL Sounders just because, frankly, I kind of had this image of MLS and of American soccer in general, which was based on kind of the stereotypes that we'd been given by the English media, and never bothered checking it out for myself, which is my bad. And it never occurred to me there'd be supporters groups in American soccer. Right. And it was only when we joined MLS I was like, holy smokes, this is actually pretty cool.
Nice.
So nice. Sort of. Bit hesitant at first, just because for me to wear anything other than Ipswich shirt to a game was kind of weird, and to support anyone else was kind of weird. But they used to have a section on the ECS website called "Say Hi," And I remember going on there, and I pretty much went on and said, look, I'm an Ipswich fan. The Sounders are never going to mean as much to me as Ipswich are. If the Sounders lose, if Ipswich lose, I remember we lost a playoff game back in the early 90s, and I was just devastated for a week.
For
a
week?
Seriously, a week. It took me a week to get over it. I was so upset. And I've never felt that way about the Sounders. But, I was honest and I said, look, I'm never going to feel that way about the Sounders, but, I'll come and I'll support because I love supporting, man. That's the fun thing to do to me, to experience being a part of that community. So, I'll come to the Sounders and support, but the Sounders will never mean as much to me as Ipswich do. And a whole bunch of people came on, and they were very welcoming and supportive and stuff. And I was like, all right, I guess.
Still got Say Hi on the forums.
Yeah, right.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
did
fun.
it
And
in
once a week,
2012.
somebody's on there, and
It was really good. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's nice that people were so welcoming and stuff. And
That's great.
yeah, I felt right at home as soon as I moved into the ECS section and started seeing games there.
Let's go.
And was that 2009 then when you?
It's actually a couple of years later. It took me a
Okay.
couple of years to kind of convert over to
same as
that.
me.
But, I sort of resisted. I was like sitting in the stands. And to be honest, my son was like, he was kind of bored. But then as soon as we started going and seeing games in the ECS section, he's like, oh, yeah, I like this. I was like, you mean I can stand on my seats and I can basically misbehave as much as possible and everyone's going to love me for it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I can dig this. And my son has ADHD, so it's like, it's like the perfect place for him to kind of release his his wiggle worms. It's a great spot for
That's
him.
awesome.
And Elliot, he's a
Oh,
funny
yeah,
kid.
Elliot's the
so
man.
You're
You the man, Elliot. You the man.
Hi, Elliot, if you're watching.
In London. Probably a replay because it's 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning.
In
over
London? He's in London right now?
Yeah, right now he's at his grandma's in near Birmingham.
Oh, nice.
But yeah,
Cool.
he's gonna be there for a few
Did you
weeks.
say Birmingham?
Birmingham.
Oh, nice. Really?
That's where James
That's
used
right.
to live.
I watched Peaky Blinders, and they're based in Birmingham, but a long time ago. That's as much as I know about it. But it's really cool show, so I'm assuming it's really cool there too.
Yeah, Birmingham really cool. Yeah, I'll let the English watchers decide on that one.
All right. So now you come over here and you convert over. You say, no more Ipswich. I'm only going to be Sounders.
Well,
No,
right.
I'm kidding. But now you've come over here and you've kind of become part of the family, the Sounders family. When did you start writing?
I started writing, gosh, it would have been about 2008, I think. And it was bizarre how it all came around. So that was the year we played Santos Laguna in the quarterfinals of the league.
Oh yeah.
And I wrote a piece. Basically, I was kind of horrified by how low the ticket sales were for that game. And at the time, the Sounders website had like a supporters blog section where any fan could go on and write a blog.
They did?
Yeah, I was amazed, frankly, but anyone could go on and write anything. So I was like, all right.
That seems like a great idea.
So I did
It's gone.
I wrote a little article called 6 Reasons to Go to the Quarterfinal against Santos Laguna, and I wrote this big thing. It's like, Jose Mourinho says the Champions League is more important, and the fact that his time at Chelsea was a failure because he didn't win the Champions League. And this is the Champions League. It's the hardest tournament for any American team to win, because you've got to beat Mexican teams to win it. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to challenge yourself and win the hardest competition you can? So I wrote this big long article,
folks.
and a chap I worked with saw the piece, not realizing that I'd written it, and posted it on his Facebook page. And I made a comment of like, oh, I wouldn't trust anything that guy says. And it just so happened about a few weeks later, he was on the PI website and he saw the advert for people, them looking for blog writers. And he pinged me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you should do this. You're a good writer." I was like, "Okay." I didn't really feel about it, and then the thing was, you had to present like 4 examples of your writing. Well, I didn't really have anything. All I had was that one piece that I'd written, and basically a bunch of foul-mouthed rants that I'd written on the ECS website, and that was the only evidence that I had. So I was like, "Well, it's all I've got. I'll go with it," fully expecting them to tell me to sling my hook, and they're like, yeah, come on in. So, so it ended up, I guess they hired like 10 people to start off with, but basically everyone else kind of lost interest within a month and a half, and that was it. It was kind of my own personal blog for like 4 years. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
So, but I mean, it was good because the way the mainstream media covers the Sounders is absolutely appalling. I mean, it's like everyone is scared to say anything negative about the Sounders at all. The Seattle Times coverage of the Sounders is appalling. And the Sounders have done a lot of great things, and they're a great addition to the sports landscape, etc., etc. But at some point, someone's got to stop and say, "Hang on a minute." It's like there's got to be some balance to the coverage of the club. So it kind of makes me
Just
sad.
wait till the end of the summer, the rate we're going.
Yeah. Maybe a couple of weeks.
Or next week.
Yeah.
But
Or if you haven't checked out his blog, what's it called?
Are You Serious, Englishman?
Check it out now. Yes.
There's a link on the YouTube below if you're watching on YouTube.
So if you're on our YouTube channel, the link
What's
is
YouTube?
right there.
Yeah. And
It's this
I hate
neat
to be a
thing with
grump,
tubes.
especially as Seattle isn't my hometown, isn't my home team. But I kind of feel like I almost have to take that role. Because other than Jake Reeder, there's no one else out there who's writing negative stuff about the Sounders. So, it's like, well, someone's got to fill that
That might
void.
be the first Jake Reeder shout out on Sonar.
I think it is.
Oh, Jake's a good writer, a
He
really
is.
good writer.
Yeah,
and he
he's
writes
amazing.
the stuff he
I love his posts. When
Yeah,
he goes
he-
on a rant, I'm like,
We
yes,
think he
put it on
might
my
be
schedule.
the local Nutmeg News correspondent.
Oh, my God. I think you're right.
Because he's
Have you
smart
seen the
enough to
Nutmeg
do
News?
that.
I have seen it occasionally.
Yeah, you're
It
right.
might be the best thing of all time, by the way, the Nutmeg News.
absolutely
Like,
right.
how hysterical is that?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
They know people,
Uh-huh.
and they've definitely got people in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, they have to.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Greg
it-
Makos thinks it's me.
I thought it was you too. I'm not gonna lie. The timing of when the post started and your situation, I thought, well, that's interesting, Mr. Free Time.
Not me.
And
But to me, I think a lot of what I write is, my premise on coaching is, if your team is better than the sum of its parts, you're a good coach. If your team is worse than the sum of its parts, you're a bad coach. It's very simplistic, but I think you can go a long way with that philosophy. How many seasons have the Sounders been better than the sum of their parts? Maybe
14?
One
or
maybe,
two.
maybe
Yeah.
14.
10.
Well, I don't even know if 09, frankly. I mean, it's like, we were very good defensively in 09, but, with the players we had, Montero and Jaquan and Zakwani, it was like, that probably should have been a better attacking team than it was. So, I don't hate Ziggy at all. I mean, a lot of people think I do, but, I believe the guy, he's a good guy. I believe that. I believe he's 100% committed in his heart to bringing a title here. Absolutely no question about that. But yeah, I think his time is done, honestly. I think he should have gone at the end of last season, especially if we had a chance to get Jason Kreis. Nobody has any faith anymore that he's going to lead us in the playoffs and that he's going to do the business when it comes to the crunch. I feel like his time is done and he should have gone by now. But here we are.
I think we all agreed, though, that going into this year, we felt like this was it. This was, regardless of the outcome of the year, it feels like this is it. This is the end. The
Cup.
swan song. This is
Cup.
it.
We need to
It's
get
either
to
a cup
that
or
MLS
not. I mean,
Cup.
it doesn't matter, though. I think even if he wins the cup, he's done. If he's not, then
Yeah, and I think,
done.
at the start of the season, I had certain sympathy because Ober leaving was a huge, huge loss. I mean, I don't think people have really recognised how big a loss it is, but our entire strategy, the way we played last year and the year before, was based entirely around, okay, you know what, we don't need to do anything clever in midfield. We get it up to Ober and Clint, and those two produce magic. And, it was wonderful to watch. I mean, the stuff that those two did together was unbelievable.
I miss it so much. I miss it so much.
I know, right? And it's like, the moment Ober left, we were in trouble. I knew it.
Oh,
But,
absolutely.
that excuse only goes a certain way. And, when you see how this season has developed, we started off with this 4-3-3, which still kind of baffles me. It was like the whole 4-3-3 thing was built in order to shoehorn Nelson Valdez into the team.
yeah.
And frankly, Valdez just hasn't really worked here. I mean, he's a good guy. He works his socks off, and I like him as a guy. But the guy hasn't scored since last August in MLS regular season play. And
Has it really been since August?
yeah, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe he's scored since his debut
And
in
it sucks
regular
because
season
man
play.
comes into the game and it changes. He changes the game. When he walks on the field, still doesn't score.
Yeah, I mean,
And neither does anyone
He
else.
doesn't get in the positions to score.
That's
though.
right.
And as a forward, there are just those types of forwards. And to be honest, you look at his career record, and that kind of is who he is. And maybe it works in the Bundesliga or places like that where you have the better supporting cast, but. I just.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's drawing two defenders or something like that and opening up Jordan Morris all day, great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
So-
but we have, frankly, Herc is doing that half the time now, or
Right.
attempting to draw off a defender so somebody else gets open. You know, you don't need to be paying another DP.
Yeah, and now we're kind of in a ridiculous position where basically, I'm sorry, I know we were going to talk about yesterday's game later, but
No,
it's
it's,
not.
no, it's
man,
fine.
We're kind of playing a 4-4-2 now with,
Yeah.
with Aaron Kovar as a second striker.
Right.
With Anderson and Valdez and Gomez all on the bench.
Yeah.
I've grown to like Aaron Kovar. I think he's played pretty well over the last month or so, better than I thought he was capable of. But
Yeah.
if he's going to make it as a professional player, it's going to be as a left-sided midfield player and working on that left foot of his, because he's got a beautiful left foot.
Yeah,
When
he
it
does.
works,
Yes.
Yeah.
but he hasn't got the consistency yet.
No.
He's not going to make a career as a striker. I mean, he has
No.
scored, what, 1 or 2 goals for
Well,
S2?
in
One. Well, for S2.
And suddenly we think he's a striker.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, he scored the one goal. Somebody said on Twitter today that goal for him was like the worst possible thing.
I
that
know,
could have
right?
happened
Yeah,
for
and
him.
I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Because it's not like he was just like awful or anything. He was all over the place yesterday, but he shouldn't have 3, 4 chances like that
Wide
and
left,
be
wide
able to
left,
miss that
wide
many
left.
times.
We're
Like,
putting him in a position to fail. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. He's not a striker. He's just that's not his skill set.
But he had
So
the
why
most
on earth are we
dangerous
pla-
looks yesterday by far.
Yeah, and I thought he played very well. And give him credit. He got in those positions. He got in those. You know, he made those chances for
Yep.
himself.
Yep.
I'll give him all the credit in the world. He didn't give up. He kept with it, and I think that's a reflection of how he's played over the last month.
Yeah.
He's confident. He's feeling good.
Yeah.
But he's not a striker. So put him in a position where he can succeed.
But he's also playing on the right as opposed to the left. Correct? Wasn't he playing right wing?
Yeah.
Well, no. He was pretty much a second striker from what
He
I could
was,
see.
fair enough. But when the game started, you had Joven on the left, and which is a good spot.
Right.
And then
I didn't think Joven really played up front at all.
I don't think he played very well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Wait, he didn't play
I
as a
think
forward
he
though.
felt
No.
the pressure.
No, he didn't. No,
of being
absolutely.
A
It was a
forward.
It was a 4-4-2.
It was
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it was.
And as everyone said, I mean, everybody said that before the game. This is really how it's going to look once the game gets going, and it looked just like you
Yeah.
said.
But is this where we've got to, where Valdez is like sitting on the bench? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's still recovering from his injury, but it's like you're sticking him on the bench behind a 22, 23-year-old midfielder. It's like, why is Valdez still at the club? And why is Gomez still at the club? Sorry, I know I'm not. Am I allowed to say bad about him
No,
since he
you're
was in this
fine.
seat last
No,
week?
man.
But
No. I mean,
he shouldn't be here as a player. He's not good enough. He's way over the hill. If he's here and he's doing a good job as Jordan Morris's mentor, love it. Keep
Yeah.
him, pay him all the money he wants for that role. Because
Right.
if he's responsible for what Jordan Morris is doing right now,
Agreed.
I'm all for it.
Boom.
But, but on the field, he really doesn't offer very much now.
but let's. But there, it's not just. Other than Oba, and Clint, to an extent, but Oba was the magic man, right? We can't finish. We don't get the ball. We get the ball in some dangerous spots. We get them to the feet. We get them where they need to be, but then we can't
They're
finish.
not even shooting though.
No,
half
that's
the
what I'm
time.
saying. They're not. They're
So,
they're laying it
yeah.
off and they're giving it up, and we don't have a killer. I don't know what it is. Is it a killer instinct?
It is
Frank McDonald
There's
made a
no
comment.
killer.
No finishing
I
instinct,
can't
no.
figure out what there's some disconnect. That's just I can't figure it out. Rapinoe, we're lacking Megan Rapinoe, but I can't.
Let's go.
Yeah, I can't figure. I don't know. It's bugging me, and I can't put it into words.
Well, I'll
how
tell
I
you what
feel.
we need. We need an overhaul. I mean, if
We need what?
We need an overhaul.
Absolutely.
From our entire attacking core needs an overhaul because other than Jordan Morris, I'd quite happily scrap and Olex Anderson, who I think is going to be a good player. The rest I could quite happily
So
scrap
Dempsey,
and start again. Dempsey.
Anderson and Morris.
Why-
Yeah, and Dempsey, Dempsey has to start as a striker. I mean, for
Yeah.
goodness sake, why
If
are
that
we
dude
still,
could play like he played last week,
how are we still halfway
God.
through the season and Dempsey is still playing in midfield? And you see how he played in the Copa America. He's still a fantastic player.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, you've got to put him in the position to succeed.
yeah,
Yeah, totally, man. I was. That's what we. Yeah.
He's wasted back there. So, I mean, there is stuff that we can do to improve our team this year.
Nippling. You look nippling.
I'd be quite happy with play a 4-4-2, have Dempsey and Morris up front, Kovar maybe on the left or maybe someone we acquire, Freeberg and Alonso in the
Joven
middle.
Jones.
Maybe Joven Jones in midfield, possibly. Another quality midfielder who can create, and we can still make something of this season. But the problems are still not solved because you know we still have a team with 7 or 8 players who are over 30 who are on the decline, all of them pretty much, and you know. If we don't make changes soon, you know, the successful club, we've seen this with clubs who have, you know, a core of players who are over 30. You know, we saw it with Manchester United. Everyone, you know, when David Moyes got a lot of criticism when he took over from Alex Ferguson, but the fact was that Ferguson left him with an aging core and hadn't revolutionized his team. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, and we are going to
let go Chicharito.
Exactly.
No, but I mean, don't you think like, you know, by July 9th? So that Galaxy. Well, so we have
2 weeks.
So 3 matches till then, right? We have
New
Toronto
York's-
away in the middle.
Yep.
So by July 9th, the West is so stacked up, so it's really hard to say you could not be out of the playoffs ever at this point. But by July 9th, you could be sellers. Like they could be selling players.
I think we should be selling players. I think we, you know, I think the worst thing that we have right now, because we have the playoff system, all anyone cares about is getting to the playoffs. And it's like, that is your, you know, if you get to the playoffs, you're a successful season, and then if you didn't make it to MLS Cup, oh well, you're unlucky.
Well, or they
blah,
start,
blah.
or they start stacking Open Cup.
Yeah,
Because I could totally see them do that.
yeah, exactly. But
Which
I mean,
they've
I
done.
think, yeah,
Which again, I'll take the hardware.
Yeah,
But,
same.
you know.
But
But even if we make playoffs this year, that doesn't alter the fact that we've got a big problem,
Right.
and we are going to suffer for it down the line if we don't start
Well,
rebuilding
we are
our team.
suffering for it right now.
I
man.
think we are suffering.
Yeah.
There is still a possibility we could reach
the
playoffs
only
this year.
team that scored less than us are the Chicago Fire.
I know, that's embarrassing. We're not even averaging a goal a game.
I know.
Jesus.
We've got Clint Dempsey, Jordan Morris, we've got Nelson Valdez, who's an international, we've got Hercules Gomez, who's an international. We're not even averaging a goal a game. That's pathetic.
Yeah, it's beyond pathetic.
It is, man. God. Score.
But anyway, I've deviated from the script and I'm going all grumpy.
No, man.
Yeah.
Don't let me go grumpy. I
No,
told
I
you.
want it.
I told you
want
not
it,
to let
man.
me go
Trust
grumpy.
If anybody's felt grumpy in the last couple of days, it's me, dude.
All right. Well, here
Okay.
let's
Fair
go.
point.
Let's go to a more positive note. Who's the jersey sponsor for your team in England?
Ipswich.
For Ipswich.
The jersey sponsor
Yeah.
is Marcus Evans. He's a local, I guess, millionaire.
Okay. Nice.
Random question.
Oh, because I just got this tweet here. Mexico has a new sponsor. It's 7-Up.
That's the right color as well, isn't it? It's green, yeah.
Horrible. Good lord.
There we go. Now at least we're not all down in the dumps. Now we're all smiling.
Except me.
That's a good uni.
Oh, it is Marcus Evans.
Marcus
there
Evans,
you go.
yeah.
There it is. Sorry,
like
I had
the
to get that in there at some point.
2016-17
But sorry, Hugo. Not really. Sorry, but
So anyway,
Anyway, I've had my rant, so we can move on.
do we have anything else to talk about yesterday's game?
Yeah, I
No.
promised I wasn't.
well,
gonna
you
do
didn't
that,
say
but-
anything about Andres.
Andreas Avenschitz,
Yeah.
who was invisible again yesterday, and I don't know if he doesn't care or, but, you know, the stat I mentioned in the article in New England, he was on the field for 56 minutes. He touched the ball 19 times in 56 minutes for a midfielder. I mean, that's not acceptable. I mean, if you're a midfielder, and you're touching the ball that little, you need to go find the game.
Let's
And-
go.
And you know what? He's
I'm getting fired up.
yeah, his set pieces are great. He's
Yeah.
a great set piece taker, but I mean, I kind of hadn't registered with me that we only actually scored 2 goals from corners this year. It felt like it was more, but his set piece delivery is very, very good.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. But at
And
this
that
point,
goal was dirty.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was.
The Orlando
Oh,
goal.
yeah.
but yeah, I don't
Not
understand
Orlando,
why he's still on the
Kansas
field. At this
City.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know the game. It was disheartening yesterday. I'd had a pretty good weekend overall. Father's Day, kind of spent time with the kids. Although my son was sick and throwing up, so that kind of wasn't good. I got breakfast in bed, and then my son threw up while I was eating breakfast in bed.
Oh.
So that was in our bed.
Awesome.
So that was
Well,
pretty
and
awesome.
And then you watched the Sounders game.
And then I watched the Sounders game, so that was kind of like, oh
Roughly
yeah,
the same effect.
yeah, exactly, pretty much. But
Just watching all of Copa America lately and some of the Euros. I caught a couple of the Euros. And then coming back to seeing that, I'm not going to lie, last night was a little depressing watching the way we played. I was like, man, we just watched all this beautiful soccer and then
Copa America. I mean, we probably don't want to talk Copa
No,
America,
no, I
but
don't
Copa
mind, dude.
America
No,
has
let's
been a
bring it on.
terrific
It's
tournament.
been great,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
been some
epic.
great football,
It
and
has.
Yeah.
you know, some.
Let me ask you, what do the British think of Copa America?
Do you know what? I knew nothing about Copa America before I moved here.
I didn't know nothing about the Euros. What a coincidence!
Yeah, I know, right? It's funny how the world is so.
Yeah, and actually, it's
so,
true though. You're in tune to what's around you. So
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I really enjoy Copa America. I've got to say, it's been a terrific tournament. Lots of great football, lots of passion. And
what's been your favorite match
gosh, favorite match?
of Copa America?
Probably the was it Venezuela Peru, the 2-2,
Oh,
which was
yeah.
just like a slugfest,
Oh,
like two heavyweight
yeah.
boxers
Yeah.
just like punching each other out.
It was great.
That was a great game. Some of the Colombia stuff's been good. US Ecuador was a terrific game.
Yeah.
Better
It was
than I was
intense,
expecting.
man.
Yeah. Especially at the end. I mean, God,
Yeah.
how Ecuador
those,
didn't
those
equalize
PA
at the end.
announcers for that game were top notch.
I'll agree
Those
with that.
PA
I
announcers
I
were
actually had to mute my
world-class.
TV.
You would. DBP.
I watched the
DBP.
Mexican feed, the Spanish feed instead.
DBP.
Could the U.S. by the
Weren't
way
y'all
maybe,
drinking whiskey that day?
I was
maybe
yeah.
hold the ball at the end of that game? Like you got the ball, you got 4 minutes,
Oh my god.
and you're still like playing dump and chase, keep away. No,
Yeah, it was
make
amazing.
2 passes or just like stop for a second.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was laughing because people in the section were yelling at the ball boy to like slow down, throwing the ball back to Guzan, and
He did.
And then Guzan would take his time, and then someone would get the ball and be like, I'm just gonna boot it. How about you just hold the ball? Like, don't let up another goal.
Yeah.
And that Brooks almost goal, almost own
Oh
goal.
my gosh,
That-
I was
my heart,
feeling
like,
for everyone in that
stopped.
To
stadium,
me,
man.
he's been the key
Oh,
player
but he's been
for,
by
for
far.
for the national
Absolutely.
team.
See, City is apparently looking at him.
Oh, is
That's
he-
the
are they
rumor as of
really?
this
I
afternoon?
wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
Really?
He's been a monster. Who do you think's gonna win?
It's tough not to say Argentina, isn't it? But it's. I really hope that Colombia Chile game is a good game, and
Oh, it will
it's got all
be,
the
dude.
makings
Oh,
of being.
it's gonna be an epic game. I think.
Yeah, and I don't really feel passionately too much about any South American team, but I don't really like Argentina because, you know, the whole 1986 Hand of God
Yeah.
thing. It's tough to forgive and forget that one. So, yeah. I'm
The whole what?
the 1986 Hand of God.
Oh, 1986 Hand
Yeah,
of God.
yes.
England fans don't really forgive and
No.
forget that one.
No.
So,
Right.
but yeah, I kind of like to see anyone other than Argentina win it at this
What's
point.
your view on instant replay, considering the 1986 Hand of God and then the Peru Hand of Peru? What's your view on instant replay? Should we bring it?
I'm actually kind of anti it, although it's, you know, it kind of makes sense to have it. But, you know, they introduced it in rugby league in England, and I don't know, it kind of killed. The greatest thing about soccer is that passion that you feel after a goal. So to have to kind of stop and wait and have them look at the video and stuff would kind of kill that moment a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a rational reason for opposed to it, but
Yeah, for me,
The best player playing in the tournament, Leonardo Messi.
Leonardo.
So the USA Today published a story at like 6 o'clock this morning saying Leonardo Messi leads Argentina
Seriously?
And they were
versus.
just guessing.
The USA
They pretty much
Today.
did. Yeah.
that's terrible, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's pretty
I don't know,
awesome.
Hold on. 1 second of research. You could actually type in LEO and Google would just fill in.
Wow.
No, it wouldn't, because it's LI.
No.
That's,
Yeah.
that's like the same thing as when they misspelled Colombia, for God's sake.
Oh, they put the
Ad.
U.
Horrible.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Oh.
That
shoot.
they did that, and then they had the Costa Rica team or the players, but it said Colombia or vice versa.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
And then there's the national anthems.
Oh,
Yeah. How do you
which
do
was
that,
just,
by the way?
I mean, disgraceful. I mean,
They
what
had to
else
run
would
through
they
it
do?
beforehand, and they got it right. So something really bad happened.
yeah.
That's tough. But then also the Costa Rican player, Joel Campbell, they said that he was
Oh.
from somewhere else.
That's right. They did.
They,
I've-
they put somebody
the
else's
wrong picture
name.
or what wrong name up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad, man.
I think that combined with the sort of the half-empty stadiums, it's not really showered the US in glory. I mean, or whoever's been running this thing is. Yeah, it could have been done better. But
Well, I
it's
think
been a good
But
time.
they've made a bunch of
after
money.
The groups, I think they've done better, and with a lot of exciting matches and everything. I mean, it's been awesome, man. I love it. I can't. I hope they really solidify a deal and they bring it here every 4 years, because I would love to see that kind of football again. And it's only going to make
Thank you.
everybody better and having play those teams. So I logged off online before the game because the night before I saw the Peru game and Peru Colombia, and just watch the little games, man. all these South American teams are just really good. Even their worst team, Venezuela, even
Yeah.
Peru, they're really freaking good,
I
man.
know, yeah. And Peru, was it Peru? Most of the players for Peru don't even play outside of Peru, man.
Yeah.
They were in their domestic league. But you're right,
They're-
they got some good
They got
players.
some good players and
Yeah.
good teams, and I was hopeful for Mexico. I was like, we're doing good, but I had a bad feeling, which was resulted in being right. But it's just they're really good, and the better you play, the more often you play against those teams, the better CONCACAF is going to be. And,
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, but I mean that the first half of the Chile-Mexico game, it was so open, and Mexico played
yeah.
very well in the first
yeah,
half.
dude.
But as soon as that second one went in before half time, I was like,
just gave up.
if the game stays this open, it could get really
Oh,
ugly.
yeah.
And
And
Chile, absolute masterclass of breakaway soccer. I
I've
mean,
never seen another team dominate and finish so strongly like
Yeah.
that, man. It was props to them, man. I'm not gonna
Definitely.
eat any hot sauce on my tacos for a while, but props to them.
nice.
Seriously, no hot sauce on my tacos.
Oh, come on. Listen, let's talk about that game for 30 seconds. You don't have
just
to.
did.
You can just sit. I wasn't listening. I was securing another guest. Sorry. So Chile scored a couple good goals, and then
Chile.
whatever. It's chilly in here. So just go along with it. So, but then would you agree that no, it's not. I'm actually not cold. Stop. I'm actually hot. But Mexico, it looked like the back line and the midfield gave up. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
The coach played guys that had never played together. That back line had not played
Yeah.
together, and they all gave up.
Yeah, the whole
I mean,
team
Layun
basically.
had a horrible game.
Yeah.
Since the first half against Uruguay, that first half against Uruguay,
Yeah.
they dominated them. But ever since that first half, they gradually played worse and worse and worse and worse.
Is he sticking around, the coach?
Yeah, I think he will. He's done too good overall.
Yeah.
I think they'll just.
Well, they have a 20-game undefeated streak.
Yeah.
But he changes the lineup every game.
And that's what they're gonna
Have
him
to
take a
address.
look at. Like, hey, and now that the storm came down,
yeah.
I'm glad it happened because I know exactly how the Denver Broncos felt after that Super Bowl when they got
Nice.
smacked in
Yeah.
the face in front of the world.
Yep.
Well, you know what? They have to regroup and do what
And
they
they
need
came
to
back
do.
and won it, right?
Yeah,
So,
and over the last World Cup, leading up to it, there was players that didn't want to play for the team and said no. There was so much going on that they didn't care, and the players gave up. I think after that ass whooping, after that embarrassment,
Yep.
now more players are going to want to come back and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
We can never let that
No,
happen
absolutely.
again. So I think it's almost a blessing in disguise, horrible, painful blessing in disguise. Rafa Marquez, I love him to death, but I think this generation of Mexico players are known as the golden generation. Younger players that won the Olympic gold, and they had high expectations, but they almost had too much and kind of just they went to their heads. They didn't keep playing for their country, for the people, and I think this kind of sets them back in place. And
good answer.
now they're gonna
It's
Great
good.
answer.
I mean, England had a golden generation as well. The whole Gerrard, Beckham, Rooney thing.
right. I mean, this
that,
is it
that
right
did
here.
us
This
no
is-
favors either.
Yeah, and now it's another generation is gonna have to come in and take stuff more seriously and not get embarrassed like that. So,
That's good stuff, Hugo.
Yeah,
Does the
Totally
U.S.
agree.
That's great stuff. I
mean,
agree.
It's painful to say.
Does the U.S. have a chance to get past Argentina?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think they will.
I
You
think the
think they
US has
will?
played
Yes.
very, very well in this tournament, especially defensively, which they're
Yeah.
going to need to do
Someone
against
here called
Argentina.
that, by the way. Someone
Yeah,
here
you
called
did.
that.
I paid off the bet. I didn't think the U.S. was getting out of group.
No, I did.
Going in, I had no faith. Like
They
zero
are
faith.
really good at what they do. They are gritty. They are tough, and they counter fast, and
Yep.
they're really good at it.
Yep.
And
And you pissed
when-
off Clint Dempsey, and he's playing
yeah.
better than he's played in a long
I mean,
time.
they're not
Really
gonna.
good.
They're not gonna be a beautiful Colombia attacking, flowing team. That's
No.
not their style. But they're really good at what they do. They're
I
gritty.
didn't know anything about Bobby Wood before this tournament, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I know something
Oh.
about him now. He's
Yeah.
terrific for them.
He is
Absolutely.
terrific.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he's sitting on the bench
Speed.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, not even on the bench. He's sitting in the stands
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's a big loss for the
Yeah,
US.
a
that's
big
a
loss.
huge one. And
Yeah.
so is actually
Actually,
Jermaine
Bedoya
Jones.
played. Yeah, Jermaine Jones is a big one, but Bedoya actually coming in, I was kind of like down on him.
Me too.
He's
I'm not a
played
fan.
pretty good though this tournament. I thought
Yeah, I'm
he's
not
been
a
a
fan of
pretty
him
good. I'm not
I'm not
either,
either.
but until the tournament, I thought he played really well in this tournament. He changed my mind. Like Bobby Wood, I knew he was fringe
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
My three
but he
players
played.
are Brooks, Jones and
Wood.
Wood.
What about
Yeah.
Dempsey, the guy who scored 3 goals and 3 assists?
Well, that's
Hey, he
expected
doesn't
of
count.
him.
Oh, okay.
That's he's expected to deliver that. Other players need to step up for the U.S. to do well, and they did. They have.
So Chile versus
Colombia.
Colombia, who wins?
Colombia.
Do you think Colombia wins?
Oh, question. They don't have what's his name?
Vidal.
Yeah, they don't have Vidal.
Oh,
They don't
that's
have-
gonna be a big
That's
loss.
a big
It's
one.
a huge
Yeah.
one.
That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
I think it's wide open.
How about Vargas? He didn't score any goals.
I don't
did
know
he?
if Vargas is that good. He's a streaky player. They've said this
No,
all
but
along.
he's those two guys are like they're I mean those two guys are the heart, man. And
Yeah.
if you miss one, I mean Colombia, I would have picked Colombia even with those guys.
I mean, Vargas only scores like what every.
Oh,
Dave over here trolling trolling Hugo. What about Vargas? How about Vargas the second time? Vargas
I'm more
third
pissed
time.
at Pooch or whatever that guy's
Yeah.
name, Pooch. He's the one that started
Vargas
off.
only scores like
God.
every 22 minutes.
Only every 22
Only every
minutes.
22 minutes Vargas scores.
Yes.
I mean,
That's not bad.
legit. But,
It's awful.
but Colombia,
Streaky.
I just think Colombia is just too.
I agree.
Too overall.
Yeah, and
consistent.
Colombia hasn't. I mean, they played very well against the US, but they haven't quite.
clicked.
Maybe that's it. I mean, they always
Yeah.
say maybe you clicked too early, and maybe that's it with Chile. Maybe I don't know if they can go beyond that. Whereas Colombia
Nah.
probably
So I do
can.
the
so.
Spanish radio with my boy Nico. Great analyst. He
Nico?
knows his.
Oh, yeah.
Nico is great. He knows his football,
Yeah.
man. When I'm able to do the Spanish radio and he breaks it down, he does a really good job. But I have a couple
no,
friends who are
just thinking.
Colombian, and they always say that Colombia has a horrible reputation of starting really slow, both in tournaments and in the games. They just tend to start really slow. They're really slow, but they'll finish strong. So I don't know. I think they'll do. I think they'll.
All right. Okay.
I'd like to see Colombia win for my boy Andres.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
I'd like to see
Colombia,
Colombia-US final. Would be pretty sweet.
That would be
I don't
cool.
think it's
I
necessarily,
do.
but I think it'd be pretty awesome.
I think
I
US
would
is going
love
to
it.
shock the
Yeah.
world, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
All right, so let's go over to the Euros because you mentioned England here.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before the show about it. I've been loving it because I've been at my desk every day for the last week, and the 6, 9, and 12 games are absolutely fantastic. So I've been getting up at 5:36 anyways for work. So one of my 5 screens is on the game, and it's just I have 5 screens at my desk. I have 2 laptops and 3 monitors, so 5 screens total. Yeah, I can show you a picture later.
Please
But
send us a photo.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, but it's been great to have that on, except for the fact that when I was with customers, obviously I had to kind of mute it and put it away. Otherwise, I'd be like my monitor over here with my camera. I'd be looking at this one over here. So talk about the Euros.
Yeah.
What
'Cause I don't
what's
know
your
much
thoughts?
about it. I know that all I've heard is the hooliganism and the vandalism, but how's England doing?
Well, England's through the group, but they made hard work of it, as England always do. I mean, the Euros
that
have been
too.
kind of strange this year just because they've extended the number of teams in it. So there's a lot of very weak teams who probably shouldn't be there, honestly. And then there's, I guess, 16 of the 24 teams who are in the group stage are going to make it through to the second round. So, it's not been as competitive in the group stage as it usually is.
Yeah, because
But,
normally it's just 2, right? The top 2
Right.
go. But now, how many is it of the
So
third?
it's the top 2 and then 6 of the 8 third place finishes
Oh,
also.
6 of the 8.
Wow,
going.
how many teams
doing my
overall?
math here. 24. 24?
That's right.
So that's
okay.
16. Was there how many in
Is that
the
right?
Copa
My-
America? 16 in Copa America?
16 in Copa America, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and that's what it
So
usually is. in
16,
Euros.
normally everything's 16 for groups.
Right, yeah, but they've extended it for the Euros.
Right.
But-
Wow, that's a
so
lot.
I think they've kind of made a mistake there because it has made the group stage has been a little bit dull, It's
Well,
like
I heard Ronaldo was like mad if somebody celebrated.
oh, that was so funny. You gotta love it. And then Brenner
that
in the
Smallest
second
part- I
game where
love
he
it.
just had chance after chance and
Yeah.
missed them all. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically, all the top teams are going to get through the group stage.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any surprises.
And there hasn't been any surprises?
Russia
not
went
yet,
home, though.
but-
Wales
Wales winning
has
the
been
group
kind of a
is a
surprise.
surprise,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean,
Isn't what's his name? The really good guy there?
Yes.
Gareth Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's played very well for them. And Aaron Ramsey, who plays for Arsenal, is a good player for Wales as well. But yeah, I think there's a limit to how far they can go. Quite honestly, I mean, really, it's all going to start. The Euros is all going to start when it comes to the knockout stage.
Which
so
is when does that start?
Oh gosh, must be later
This
week
weekend?
probably.
Yeah, I think like this weekend, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when it's going to get really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's been a little dull so far.
I agree. I think there were some great games this last week and some amazing games. But now we're in the
pressure's
third
off.
of the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. The games today were, I mean, Wales killed Russia. I mean, just destroyed Russia.
That was impressive.
3-0.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Of course, I chose to watch the England game like an idiot.
Yeah, you should.
Which was dumb.
Never
I
watch
mean,
England in the group
No, I
stage.
know. I know, but you were
If I
coming.
teach you one thing tonight, that will be it.
but
Never watch
You were
England in
coming
the
on
group stage.
tonight. I know I've got a lot of English friends, so I mean, of course, I was watching for that reason. But
Have you been watching, James?
Yeah.
In your opinion, how do they look?
Well, I've only seen a couple of games. I watched the England game against Wales, which we won.
and the 93rd
we were
minute.
dismal in
Yeah,
the
that was
first
the
half.
late last minute win. So that was the start of our glorious Thursday. We had England 2-1 winners against Wales in the morning.
Yeah.
US 2-1 winners against Ecuador in the evening. I've only caught snippets of the other games, to be honest. I've been kind of busy at work, so I'm looking forward to
You've
watching
done so
these
many
knockout
games
stages.
lately too.
I think England has the potential to do well in this tournament, but
Really?
so far it's the players that they had a good young team, Dele Alli and Harry Kane, Dyer. It looks on paper it looks like a good team. It hasn't quite clicked yet, but if it's clicked, we could be a good team. The worry was about the defense. The defense has actually played pretty well so far. So, I think the nice thing from an England, it's probably a good thing from the England point of view that hopefully we should get a fairly easy game in the second round and we can kind of start to get some momentum going. And I'm pretty optimistic. It's definitely more fun to watch England right now than it has been for a long time. Where we've been kind of struggling away with the likes of Gerrard. Gerrard was atrocious in the last World Cup. It was embarrassing to see him out there, and he's been atrocious for LA as well, which is great. This team is a team you can get behind. Vardy, he's a real working class
like
bruiser
Vardy,
guy.
Yeah.
Is he like the Marshawn Lynch of English?
He kind of is.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good
That's
comparison.
great, yeah.
Even down to playing with the bound up wrist. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's just here, so
Shout
he
out to
doesn't get
Marshawn
fined.
Lynch. Gonna miss you, bro.
What was that?
Love
Oh,
you.
he's just
here.
I'm sure
So he
it's
doesn't get
right.
fined.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, if
Also-
Vardy's watching, I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked.
Or Vardy.
Oh, Vardy,
I was
yeah.
talking
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch.
Oh,
But
Marshawn.
Vardy, too.
Marshawn watches. I know that for sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
keep an eye on the Euros. I think once we get to the knockout stages, that's going to be a fun tournament. Plus, you won't have Copa America to watch by then, so it's
Right.
what are you going to do, right? It's ball
Yeah.
soccer.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
There's
After this weekend.
yeah.
I mean, so we got a game tomorrow. The U.S. is tomorrow for Copa. Wednesday's the other final, the other one,
Chile.
and then Saturday is the third place game, and then Sunday is the final for Copa. So come Sunday, the Copa's done.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
It is sad.
And then we start right into into the Olympics.
Yeah. By all means.
In July, early July too, which isn't going to be that exciting, I suppose. But
Don't drink the water.
I'm not going to Brazil. I'm not going to Russia either. So
Or Qatar.
or Qatar. No, I won't be
Nope.
going to Qatar either.
Me
No.
neither.
Nope.
No.
The women's team will be good. Yes, the women's team will be good to watch for the Olympics. So, all right. So who do you favor? I mean, I know you're an England fan, but do you have anybody over there that you think is going to just dominate? I mean, Spain looked pretty good.
I think it's wide open, quite honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Northern
think
Ireland looks
Germany,
like fun.
Germany, I'd probably favour on the whole,
Yeah.
but that's a young team. They've lost some of their more experienced players, so I mean, I think it's wide open. I think France have definitely got a good chance.
France is
wouldn't surprise me at all to see a shock in this tournament because it is
Yeah.
wide open.
I agree.
France is my dark horse for this one and for World Cup in a couple of years. I like France a lot.
You mean France, who have Dimitri Payet, who the Sounders FO tried desperately to use to promote our friendly against West Ham, despite knowing he was going to be at the Euros.
Right.
That Dimitri Payet, that France,
Yeah, that one.
disgraceful.
No
Absolutely
comment.
Yeah.
disgraceful.
No comment. Yeah. No comment.
To the friendly? Maybe. Yeah.
If
I
my
actually-
tickets don't sell
You
on
want-
the
you want my
exchange, I'll be
ticket?
going. Yeah.
Quite frankly, I used to hate the friendlies, but in a season like this, where the season's been so god awful, it's quite nice to have the change. Quite honestly.
There's going to be so many bubbles. Bubbles
Bubbles?
are going to be everywhere.
Well, I actually like West Ham is the only London club that I like. I mean, I'm sad that they left Upton Park because that was absolutely my favourite ground to go for away games. I mean,
Really?
oh my God, the atmosphere of that stadium was always great. Even when they were in the second division and stuff, and we would go down there, and there was always a big Ipswich crowd because it's Ipswich is actually closer to West Ham than it is to Norwich, which is what we traditionally have as our local rivalry. But games at West Ham.
What was so memorable about it?
It's just everything is really close to the pitch. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, they used to have a terrace down one side called the Chicken Run.
The Chicken Run?
Yeah, the Chicken Run. Because as in, in the old days of hooliganism, it was like a challenge to kind of run down that side and see if you could get through in one piece.
Got it.
But yeah, all their stands are like 4 foot from the pitch. So it's like everything's right on top of the plate. So it's just a really great atmosphere, a good working class kind of area. So their fans are always well into
hardcore. Yeah, pretty strong.
So, yeah, I'm sad to see them. Although I think for West Ham, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all. 10 years' time, West Ham could be up there with, doing what Manchester City did. I mean, Manchester City were not a big club until they moved into that stadium. And really that was, and of course they got their billionaire owners and whatever, but having that stadium is definitely a big draw for the players that they're trying to attract, and I think it's going to be the same for West Ham playing in the Olympic Stadium that they used for the last Olympics. I think it's going to really help their cause. They could be a big club, which is good. I'm glad West Ham's going to be a big club.
So talking about away games and going to West Ham away is your most memorable one. You've been to a couple Sounders away matches, really memorable ones. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so we went to Monterrey for the Tigres game.
How many people went with you?
2. That was it's quite funny to me because back in the day when I was supporting Ipswich, we got into the UEFA Cup in 2000. Well, qualified in 2001 and played there in the end of 2001, and we went to Moscow. And we took 1,300 supporters to Moscow.
Wow.
And that was,
up
until that Mexico City trip, that was kind of my favorite away trip.
Yeah.
We literally did it as a day trip. So we flew out at like 4 a.m. English time, arrived back at 4 a.m. English time, and had no sleep in between.
Wow.
And,
that's awesome.
It was great. I mean, basically, because, for me, it was such a huge deal because, Ipswich qualified for Europe like every year from like 1972 till 1982 when Bobby Robson was our coach. My dad went to a ton of away games in Europe. He went to Saint Etienne in the south of France. He went to Barcelona. He saw Ipswich in the UEFA Cup final in Amsterdam when Ipswich won the UEFA Cup. So, he had some great stories from those trips. So I always kind of felt like, I kind of missed out on those trips. So when we qualified for Europe, just out of the blue, we got promoted to the Premier League in 2000. 2000-2001 season, we finished 5th behind just, Manchester United, Arsenal, Leeds and Liverpool, and qualified for the UEFA Cup.
Man,
and
you know exactly what teams were in front of you and everything.
I know, it was a memorable season. We had a chance at the Champions League right up to the last day.
Wow.
So, it was an amazing year. Everyone had picked us to get relegated. The Norwich newspaper had a little section in their paper called Town Down, how many days it would take for Ipswich to get relegated from the Premier League.
That's funny.
And Ipswich ended up finishing 5th. It was it was magical. And qualified for the UEFA Cup. And it was like, for me, I was like, wherever we play,
you're going.
There is no question about it. So we were kind of hoping for a draw in Scandinavia or somewhere nice and close. And we drew Torpedo Moscow. I was like, the first instinct was like, not really the trip we were hoping for. But then the club organised a trip, and I give them fair dues. They did a terrific job organising this trip. And like I said, 1,300 made the trip. And they, the week before the game, they said, okay, if you want to go on this trip, you have to drive up to Ipswich and deliver your passport to get your visa to go into Russia. So we were like, okay. And my dad drove up to Ipswich and took our passports up with him. And the story as it goes was basically the Russian embassy in London was like backed up. No way we were going to get our visas in time from there. Russia being Russia.
Right.
So apparently how it went was Ipswich got a guy with a suitcase filled with 1,300 passports of the Ipswich fans who wanted to go to this game. And he flew to Finland with these passports and literally sat on the doorstep of the Russian embassy in Finland with all these passports for all these Ipswich fans, and basically wouldn't leave there until they did all these visas. So all these Ipswich fans could go to the game.
You have one job, do it.
He did the job. But I mean, it was kind of terrifying because I drove to the airport that morning and they were giving us our passports
Yeah, I
back
was gonna say
at the airport,
yeah.
and I was like, that's a little scary. I turned up. My passport was there. I was like, whew. I love my visa, by the way, for Russia. That got me some great looks coming into Seattle. Great looks. So it was a day trip, and we flew out like 4 a.m. in the morning. It was like a 4-hour flight. And then they'd organised buses at the far end, and the buses took us to Red Square, and we got to spend a couple of hours in Red Square, which is fantastic. I mean, just I said to my dad, because my dad was on a different plane to me, so I said, I'll meet you in Red Square next to the Kremlin. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I ever said. Red Square is like 1.5 miles long. So, trying to find him in Red Square was very, very difficult. I eventually
So it's
found
not like El Zócalo at all.
I'll meet
Right,
you.
exactly.
I'll meet you in West Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got a couple of hours to walk around Red Square, had a couple of beers in Red Square. Yeah, it was just great. And then they took us to the stadium, and the Russian authorities, this is quite interesting, bearing in mind recent events between England and Russia fans, but the Russian authorities had said that we had to be inside the stadium complex by 6 p.m. The game was starting at 9 p.m. So the game was being held at the Luzhniki Stadium, which is like the national stadium. It was the stadium that was used for the 1980 Olympics, the one that everyone boycotted.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an eerie stadium, as in it. Anyway, you walk around and there's statues of Lenin and all this sort of communist type.
Really? Still? Even
Yeah,
then?
I mean, it was eerie. It was like a real flashback. So yeah, we were dumped there at like 6 o'clock, and we had 3 hours to kill before the game started. The stadium wasn't open yet, and there was no toilets anywhere. So I'm like walking around, and I'd had a couple of beers in Red Square before. And I was like, I really need to pee, but there's no toilets open anywhere. I ended up having a piss on a statue of Lenin.
What? Weird?
So I was like, yeah, peeing on a statue of Lenin, that's probably not a good idea when you're in Moscow. But yeah, I mean, it was the weirdest thing. And then the police showed up about 2 hours before kickoff. And bearing in mind there was 1,300 Ipswich fans there. There must have been a good 1,000 police turned up.
Wow.
And they come out, and they literally marched around the stadium. They had rifles over their shoulders. And it was like the old, videos of the old communist era.
Wow.
They're marching in 3 groups around the stadium for like an hour before the stadium opened. It was weird, but yeah, we went in and Ipswich won the game, and and got through to the next round. It was just like, until Mexico City, that was absolutely the best away trip. I didn't think anything would ever surpass that until we went to Mexico City. But
Mexico City was a lot of fun, man.
yeah, I mean, that was an amazing trip.
What about Monterrey? It was you and Andres, or
Me
you
and
and Sean?
It was me and Andres and Sean Wheeler.
Ah, nice.
So
yeah.
very
Yeah.
excellent. And it was funny. It was funny because when it came around to the last round of matches in the group stage, I kind of said, I'm going to the quarterfinal unless we play in Monterrey. I'm not going to Monterrey because that place is way too scary.
Yeah.
And I kind of and then I think LA played in El Salvador in the last group round and won, which no one expected them to do because they basically took a team of kids down.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going. And for a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I'm not going. And then it kind of dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, my company just opened an office in
Monterrey.
maybe I should at least give the guy, because I knew our finance lead out there quite well. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
So I sent him an email. I was like, I'm kind of thinking about coming down for this game. Is that a smart idea for me to come down? Am I really taking a big risk? What can you suggest in terms of getting around? And he wrote back and he was like, hell yeah, come down, man. It's amazing. Well, I'm a driver. The company has a driver. He'll pick you up from the airport. He'll drive you wherever you want to go. We'll go to the game with you. We'll take you to the game. No worries there. And the driver can take you around the next day so you can go see the city. And yeah, come down. It's a great city. You'll have a great time. Okay.
All right.
I guess I'll go. So I posted on the ECS site and Sean and Andres picked up on it, and it was great, man. I mean, it was like
cool,
the
man.
perfect team because me, I had the contacts there. Andres speaks Spanish, obviously,
Yep.
so he was able to kind of help us with getting around. And then Sean had done trips in Guatemala and a couple of other places, so he knew the smart things to do when you go on these trips. So yeah, between us, we had this like little team of 3 of us in a
That's
crowd
awesome.
of 35,000, and
Wow.
you know, we kind of made it work. It was awesome, and then we had this little tifo display, and you know, we'd painted it in my garage, and Sean had come up with this great concept. It was just green and blue, and all it said was "Never too far for our love of Sounders," which I thought was great. I really loved that message. So we painted it up, and we were kind of talking about it before the game, and it was like, well, you know, there's going to be 3 of us and 35,000 of them. You know, realistically, if anyone comes and tries to take it, we're going to let them have it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, we're not going to fight 35,000 of their fans. So, you know, we decided that what we would do is Sean hid the tifo in his pocket, and he's super organised. He even pulled apart the duct tape, so he had duct tape ready to put it on the hoardings in front of us. So organised, I loved it. So yeah, we took the banner in, and we
Knows what he's doing.
He does. He knows what he's doing. Shout out, Sean. Good stuff. So, you know, literally as the team comes out, we're like, you know, we'll pull the tifo out as the team comes out, so they'll see it. And if anyone comes along and tries to take it, you know, they can have it. That's fine. We've made our point. So the team comes out, and we're holding up this banner. Players, every single one of them sees it, applauds us, which was just like the greatest feeling.
Hell yeah.
And then we tape it to the advertising hoarding in front of us. And we're like, okay, either the stewards are going to
Yeah,
come along.
we got 5 minutes before it gets taken
Right.
off.
The stewards are either going to tell us to get rid of it, or their fans are going to come and take it. And the steward comes along, and he looks at it, and he's like, and that was it. He was
Probably
like,
like, that's cute. That's cute.
A couple of photographers come past and take pictures of it, and then that was it. That was as much as we got until the end of the game. So at the end of the game, we decided, right, you know, we're going to wait in the stadium for a little while, let the car parks clear. Probably a smart move, right? End of the game, like 2 or 3 groups of Tigres fans come over, and they asked to have their picture taken with us and the tifo.
Nice.
I couldn't believe it, and I was like, you know what? All these stories about tension between US and Mexican fans, this kind of hatred, this rivalry, and I'm like standing 3 of us in a stadium of 35,000 Tigres fans, and they had nothing but love for us. And the same for the people who work there as well. You know, the people who worked at the ticket office couldn't have been more helpful. Everyone was genuinely happy to see us there, and I was just blown away. I mean, it was like it was an amazing thing. It really-
Yeah, and same in Mexico, man. I mean, even though it was intimidating for me, I mean, my first away, being in a box, we were surrounded by riot cage.
A cage, yeah.
Cage. Even the police chief was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Him and
weren't
his cigarette
Smoker-
hanging off his lip.
100% of the time.
Yeah, right in there. Like, with a classic like movie police chief. If you could stereotype it, that's exactly what this guy was.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, again, in Mexico City, you know, I've been to Mexico 3 times now for soccer games, and I have never felt anything than welcome, you know.
What was your third one? I didn't know you went to another.
For Tijuana, I went for a Tijuana Club America game
Wow.
last year. And again, there was a lot of Club America fans sitting in the home sections, but, you know, there was banter, but it was very good-natured. And
That's awesome, man.
you know, and
We had
again,
kids come by and yell some stuff at us.
Yeah.
and it's funnier when you know what they're saying and you're like, oh yeah, I can respond to that. But no, we didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
For
Not
the
at
most
all.
part, people were cool. Mark was just saying he traded jerseys with a Club America
Yeah.
fan.
was that in
Um,
Tenampa after the game?
Yeah,
Wasn't
it was it.
Yeah, it was you. I couldn't remember who it was. I was cursing you, by the way, because you lost your phone, right? For a minute, you thought you'd lost your phone. Or maybe it was someone
That
else.
was Larry.
Yeah, there was
That was
someone
Larry.
else who was like, you know, he went over to these Club America fans. And I'm like, Jesus, dude, you know, we've spent, like, everything that's happened this evening has been about keeping us away from these Club America fans. And then he couldn't find his phone, and I was like, seriously, if you start accusing these Club America fans of stealing your phone, I will beat you up myself. I was like, oh, God. But yeah, it turned out. But again, you know, the police were paranoid, maybe, or I still don't really know what their reasoning was for doing it.
Training.
International incident, though.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
seriously, 100 Americans have a problem in Mexico City.
Yeah.
That's on the news in every city in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
But again, I
So-
felt like, you know, we have no reason to believe that there was any hostile intentions towards
Yeah.
us.
It was-
But they definitely overplayed it as better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
type,
Yeah, absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
fine. I
Which
think
made
they're-
the event better for us.
Everybody
Oh my
I
God,
talked
yeah.
to-
That moment, man, and I know you guys can all attest this. That moment, I mean, because when Dan came up and he said to us, oh, you know, the police are giving us a ride back to where we're going to drink. And I was stood next to Ryan Pritchett, and he was like, we're going to be in a police truck. And I'm like, yeah, right. Everyone just laughed at him because it was just so absurd.
LOL.
And then you're walking down and you actually see it. It was like the whole group just lost it. I mean, we just lost it. I lost it. I was like, I couldn't believe it was happening.
Paddy wagons, here we
craziest
come.
thing. And then
And hey, let's ECS sticker the paddy wagon.
No one does that. I like that there was someone on our bus with us who will not be named, but he knows who he is, who told us that was the second time that he was on a Mexican paddy wagon.
That's fantastic.
And I was like, you'll have to tell us that story another day.
Yeah, no joke. But everything about that trip.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was already the greatest day of my life after the community event, to be honest. I mean, that was...
Yeah. Oh,
to
dude,
go-
that community event was...
To go out and, work with, underprivileged Mexican kids and, God, just see the joy on their faces and the love they had for us was just...
It was cool.
It blew me away. And I mean, we walked into it. So for those who weren't there, I mean, it was basically, it was in kind of this rough neighborhood and there was this little community area. There was a little park there.
It's a nice park too.
Yeah, very nice. And there was a little play area and a little 7-a-side type soccer stadium. Well, maybe a 5-a-side. It was quite small. But, just walking out was just like, this is the essence of what soccer is. I mean, it's never been about the big stadiums and the big clubs and the franchising and the sponsors. It's always been basically at its core about a bunch of kids getting together, kicking a ball around, having some fun, forgetting the worries of their lives. I mean, that's always been what soccer's about. And to be a part of that and to see it that close up. And
if there's anything I learned about that is, if we ever get a chance to go to an away international champions, book it, go. No matter how much it costs,
absolutely.
No matter how hard it is to get time off work, it is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been long fascinated by the whole cultural element of soccer because soccer at its core is a very simple thing, right? It's 11 guys against 11 guys on a field, and then there's a few stands around for people to watch it, right? So you'd think wherever you go in the world, it'll be the same experience. It is not. I mean, and it's always fascinated me how both on and off the field, different countries have kind of interpreted that, taken that very simple concept and interpreted it very differently. And, going to a game in Mexico, it's a million miles away from going to a game here. Not better, not worse, just different, man. I mean,
and it's so cool to see that.
It is. It really is, culture. And I've been to Germany, and going to a game in Germany is entirely different to going to a game in England. And
Italy.
In Italy,
San Siro was just amazing.
The same thing.
Juventus versus Inter Milan with the fans, like they travel, and it was like letting off concussive booms on each side of the stadium, and I'm sitting in the middle. Like I bought the expensive seats because I didn't know what I was getting into. No, because I didn't know what I was getting into, and for me it was like I didn't want to sit in the culture. In the sports section, not knowing what I was getting into. It was amazing. Yeah. So you've been to San Siro.
I've been to San Siro for Inter, and I've been to a game in Chile. I've gone in Mexico and Honduras.
Oh, wait, where'd you go? Chile?
I actually did go in Chile. Yeah. Sorry.
What was the score?
Santiago Wanderers.
What was the score?
I think it was 2-2.
What wasn't it? Wasn't 7-0.
Colo. It was not 7-0.
Many moons ago, I went to a game in Malta, which is a small island in the Mediterranean, and they only have like one proper soccer field. All the rest is kind of because it's hot there. So they have like all the clubs have their own little dust stadiums, which are basically not fields at all, but then they have their national stadium, which has proper grass. It's a fairly nice little stadium. And they have all their league games are on a Sunday, and they have them one after the other. So they have like 3 or 4 games in a row. And we went there and for a game, and we saw, and it was, the champions had just been crowned. So there was like this one club, and they'd all lined up fireworks along the fences at the bottom. And they set off this row of fireworks, and it was cool. I mean, it was like, there's probably only like 3,000 or 4,000. It's not a big island at all.
Right.
You can drive one side to the other in an hour. But, even there, kind of that passion was there, man. They loved it, and it had this own, their own culture. And the time I went to Germany for the first time, I was absolutely kind of blown away how different it was.
Where'd you go?
I mean, I went. Sorry, when or where?
Where?
What game?
First time I went was to Schalke, which is kind of how I ended up half supporting Schalke. I mean, they're kind of they were my second team.
At the what's the name of their stadium? It's
now they're in the Veltins Arena.
Veltins Arena.
But back in the day when I went, they were in the Parkstadion, which was basically a bomb crater which was built into the stadium. I mean, it was a literally, that's not an exaggeration.
Really?
And it was and it held I think 70,000. and it was just a bowl. I mean, there was no glamour to it at all. And Schalke's in Gelsenkirchen, which is very much a coal mining community. In fact, their logo is a circle with S04, and they deliberately made it a circle because the miners' helmets, they would have the circular light on their helmets, so they could stick the SO4 logo on their helmets, which is just a great. And they very much retain their their history, which is brilliant. But when I went there, I used to know this guy in Dover who used to run trips over to Germany for soccer. So you take this was in the days before the Eurostar. He lived in Dover, and you would take the ferry over on Saturday morning, would drive across to Germany, see a game in Germany, stay in either Cologne or Düsseldorf on Saturday night, which was a blast. I love those towns.
Yeah, me too.
Drive through Belgium on the way back, go to one of the great Belgian beer bars where they have beer lists that are like telephone directories, man. I mean, they're enormous. They have like 500 beers on tap. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Go see a game in Belgium or Netherlands on the way back. It was a 2-day trip and it was dirt cheap. So it just happened really that the first trip I did was for Schalke against Kaiserslautern. It would have been about 1992 when I was still a teenager. And I just went to their stadium, and they were like fourth from bottom at the time. They just come up from Schalke have not always been a top club. At that time, they were struggling. They just got promoted from the second league, and they were fighting relegation. And there were 42,000 there, and the passion was amazing.
Germany's amazing. It's a
whole other thing.
I've spent 7 or 8 weeks there over the past from 2010 to 14. One was a 4-week stint, and then there was 2 or 3 other weeks that I was there. I spent most of my time in Düsseldorf area, Essen, and Cologne. So Cologne was my first.
Cologne's
awesome.
Team.
How
cool is that cathedral?
Yeah. Oh my God, the cathedral. Walking to the top of that is so amazing. Walking to the top and see it's just, and that just. I love that town. Going down to the waterfront there, all the pubs, getting my Kolsch, and just having it keep coming, and just mark my coaster with all my Kolsch I'm drinking.
See, I'm more of an alt beer kind of guy, so I was more of a...
Alt beers as well, good, yes.
Yeah, alt beer is more of a... Yes. It's alt beer in Düsseldorf versus Kolsch in Cologne.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we used to go to this brewery called the Urig Brewery in Düsseldorf. And, oh, my gosh, that place was amazing. So, bearing in mind in England on a weekend, you pretty much have to fight your way to a bar to get a beer.
Okay.
That was kind of the experience I was used to. The first time we went to the Urig Brewery in Düsseldorf, we went in and the barman was German but spoke perfect English with a Birmingham accent, which was really bizarre.
That's awesome.
But his English was spot on.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're English, you're English. I was like, yes, we're English. Düsseldorf tradition. So he goes off, comes back with a boiled egg.
Boiled egg?
Boiled egg. And he's like, Düsseldorf tradition. He takes the yolk out of this egg, puts in vinegar, pepper, Tabasco, whatever he can find.
Chili.
Just shoves it inside this egg, puts the yolk back in, and he's like, you have to down it. It's Düsseldorf tradition. So we down it, and of course it was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not Düsseldorf tradition at all. He was just playing with us. But the best thing about that bar was, bearing in mind I was used to having to fight my way to the bar to try and get a beer. This guy would literally, in that pub, they would literally bring you beer until you specifically told them
not to. Yes.
So you had to take your beer mat and put it on top of your beer, and that was kind of your indicator.
That's Düsseldorf. That's Cologne. That's everything.
So much.
Right.
Oh my God, I was so happy.
And you have your coaster, and they mark it with the pencil, because that's how they go back, and they know
say how many beers
you had. Right, exactly. That's how.
And they just came by with the especially in Cologne, they have the tray that has 30 or whatever Kolsch, because Kolsch are small, right?
Yeah.
They're small little glasses. And you just keep coming around, and until you say no.
Yeah, and I was there like, I love this beer. This beer is like the best beer on the planet.
Yeah.
You seriously expect me to actually consciously tell you
not
to bring me more?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no chance of that.
No. Really. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't had an alt beer since I left there. I love alt beer. It's a great.
What is it like?
It's a lager, but it's a dark, sort of dark.
Okay.
Strong lager, so it's very very flavorful, more flavorful than your average.
Because Kolsch is kind of just a blondie, it's a real light beer. But
so if you've ever had Alaskan Amber, that is kind of brewed as an alt, so that's probably the closest you'll get to an alt beer from an American brewery.
Yeah, I want to go to Germany so bad now.
Me too.
Germany's so much fun. Do you know what? It's like everyone's.
Let's go into Chile.
everyone has this kind of image of the image
Chilly
of
now, bitch.
everyone has this image of the Germans as being straight-laced and kind of very serious. But it's like I tell you what,
Yeah.
there is
They
no
know how to
better
party.
place in the world to have a party, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, they work hard, but they
Insane.
play hard.
And
Oh my
Dusseldorf
God.
went up in 2012 to First League Bundesliga, and watching the Fortuna fans marching through where I was at for a trade show, man, they're dead. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
There's great passion in that town.
So speaking of
Speaking of
traditions,
chili, yeah, and it's chilly.
speaking of traditions,
Yeah, we should turn the heat up.
okay, turn the heat up real quick.
Yeah, let's turn up the heat.
We'll be right back.
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, welcome back to the SonarFeed Q&A shootout.
I don't know. All right, so we have a couple questions we have to ask that we ask every guest.
Okay.
Been start ever since the first guest on. We've always asked questions. So
And they're intense soccer questions here.
very important.
Very important.
Very important.
It makes it
I'm
a
ready.
must-watch episode or not.
Biggie or Tupac?
I don't follow hip hop at all, so I have no idea.
Pick one. Random.
You have no choice. Have you heard either one of
Tupac
them?
got shot, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they both did.
I'll go Tupac.
Okay.
All right, Tupac
Okay,
it
Tupac.
is.
Okay.
Your favorite kind of taco filling?
Now, you're going to have to help me with pronunciation. Conchita pibil. What we
Oh,
had
yeah, that's right.
Ooh,
Cochinita
cochinita
pibil.
in. That was
That's
some good stuff.
right. That was good. I forgot about
What
cochinita.
is
a
that?
good call.
What is
That's
that
a
one?
great call. That's the first time we heard that on
From
Sonar.
the Yucatan Peninsula, I believe.
Yes, that's
yeah,
right.
Pablo took us to the place in Coyoacan.
Coyoacan.
And they served that and that stuff. I love the El Pastor, but that stuff was
Yeah,
really good.
so cochinita pibil is a pork butt or shoulder. I can't remember.
Ooh.
It's pork and it's marinated. Usually it's cooked under the ground in banana leaves and citrus spices.
Yes, please.
It's super tender. And, man, that is a great call. Good cochinita pibil is hard. And we had some amazing cochinita pibil that Pablo Herber
And-
took us around to while we were down there.
Yeah, that was some
Great
good stuff.
call. Great
Favorite Girl
taco.
Scout cookie?
Sorry?
Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Mint Thins.
Thin Mints.
Boo! Boo! It was nice knowing you. It was nice.
It's not a strong opinion.
This is a new one, but we are going to ask this one. Favorite cartoon character growing up?
Oh, Roadrunner. Beep, beep.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
I always liked Chili Willy. No, actually, Bugs Bunny was my favorite, but
What's your favorite soccer documentary?
30 for 32 Escobars.
oh,
Ooh,
that's
that's a solid
fantastic.
I mean,
one.
just a
Yeah,
great piece of work.
That is amazing.
that is fantastic. Yeah,
I, love
I
that
actually
one.
watched that one when I was in the hospital. I seen it before that, but when I was in the hospital, that was on, and all I had was TV, and that was a great.
Yeah.
I love that episode
Great-
so
great
much.
work.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
intense.
great insight
That
into
was
so
intense.
much.
And it was so long, man. It was like a movie, like a 2
Have you guys watched the new one for the Life of OJ or OJ Made in America yet?
Not yet.
No, I
I'm on episode 3. I watched the first 2. It's not just OJ. It's America during his time and racism and
The 90s?
the 60s and 90s.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in the 90s. It's incredible. It's so
Okay.
far the first 2 episodes are fantastic. So
Okay.
it's long. It's like 8 hours
it's
total.
not related to that show that was on AMC?
No.
Okay.
No.
Its own
No.
ESPN 30 by
Yep.
30 version.
But
Wow.
it's definitely drafting off of it.
Yeah.
It's
for
picking
sure.
up
it's damn
yeah.
good though.
Yeah.
It's really good. So anyways,
I'll
okay.
check it out.
What's the last book you read?
What am I reading? Right now, I'm reading a biography of Leon Trotsky, who was. We
Nice.
went to his grave in Mexico City, and yeah, just kind of reawakened a few things in me.
Intense, dude. That was intense to
It was
learn all
intense
that.
for me. I mean, I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, just one of those people that I hadn't read about for a very long time, and yeah, just go and see his grave was definitely, well, that was an interesting
It
experience.
really was, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think that trip kind of awakened a lot of stuff for a lot of us. I mean, I know for you guys, going to the pyramids was like a real, for Dan was very emotional.
Oh
about
yeah,
it. Shout out,
totally,
Dan.
man. I mean,
Um,
it lets you know that you've been around for a long, long time. You know,
Yeah.
your blood, your history. So,
that was an eerie place to go. That
sure.
was,
what $100 or less purchase impacts your life daily? Recent.
We bought a juicer.
There you go.
My wife's very, very good at keeping me on the
You got a
health
juicer
track.
for less than $100?
Actually, it probably wasn't less than $100.
Just go
but
with
it. That's all I can think of. Yeah, I mean, if you've never watched, there's a, gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it now. My wife's going to kill me because we watched it together. There was a great documentary by an Australian guy who goes across America juicing. It was called Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. Thank you. Yeah, I'd really recommend everyone to watch that because it was a very insightful view about health in America. And basically he goes across America with a juicer in the back of his car, plugged into his battery, and just kind of picks up local food, local fruits and vegetables wherever he goes. And he loses all this weight and has incredible health gains. And doesn't eat anything solid for like a month. And
Wow.
There's a lot of good stuff. My wife's been watching a lot of good stuff about the food industry and just the shocking things that go on. I mean, it's like, here's just a little example. Do you guys know, when you look at the nutrition facts on the side of a product, and everything else, it'll give you a percentage of your daily allowance except for sugar. Do you know why sugar doesn't give you a percentage?
Because of the sugar industry or the sugar
Exactly,
lobby.
the sugar industry lobbied it and got it taken off.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, how is that right? I mean,
Welcome to America.
Seriously, that blew me away.
I mean, it's not just
couldn't
America,
believe it.
but yeah.
So yeah, lots of good stuff out there right now about the food industry and about.
I'm gonna check that documentary out.
I'll have to do that too.
Yeah, but yeah, fat, sick, and nearly dead. Yeah,
Fat,
check
sick,
it out.
and nearly dead.
Very,
Okay.
very, very good.
All right, socks and sandals. What's your opinion?
No, very German.
Very
Well
German.
done.
Is that what you said?
Very German. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's
Well
why I
done,
like it so
sir.
much.
Well done.
No, wrong answer, by the way.
What's your last meal on death row? And drink.
Do you know what? Chili. I'm sorry. I said that because it's a fact, not because I wanted to rub it in.
You got stopped by a
Damn.
guest.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
Killing me, bro. Are you serious, Englishman?
I now forgot the question I was going to ask because that happened.
So why did you name your blog AreYouSeriousEnglishman.com?
It's funny because I
Que
say,
siete
a lot of the
acero
time
steak.
I try and write stuff that other people aren't writing.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I try to write stuff that other people aren't writing about the Sounders because, like I said, I feel like most people just write this kind of...
Oh,
Exactly.
so you're saying, are you serious because you're going to be a little bit more controversial?
Well, I try and write something that hasn't been written before. Try and write something that's interesting to people, and sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong. I mean, people have no hesitation to remind me that at the start of 2014 season, when we won the Supporters' Shield, I was saying we weren't going to make the playoffs. So sometimes I get it wrong, and I'll openly admit sometimes I'll get it wrong. But you know what? I want to write something that people are like, "Are you serious?" But it's an alternative point of view, right? And I've been watching this game for a long time, so. I feel like I have a good insight, and
you know what?
So, and also it's a line from one of my favorite movies, The Desert Fox, which is
I saw a clip of it. You guys should watch the clip. It's on YouTube. It's a great clip.
So it's a movie.
It's a great clip.
The movie's about Erwin Rommel, the great German model, and there's this great scene at the start of the movie. It's like a 10-minute season where the British are raiding a home that he's
Oh, it's so
supposedly
good,
in,
dude. You gotta watch
and it goes on forever. It's a really long scene.
It's a 6-minute
and
clip.
there's no dialogue in it at all except for whispering. So at the end of it, there's a British soldier running away from the house thinking he's done the job, and he gets shot in the leg or something, and he's lying there injured. And the German soldier comes over to him, and he says, did we get him? And the German says to him, Are you serious, Englishman?
Oh, that's awesome.
I just love that line.
It's a great clip. So I was doing research and I looked it up and I found that clip. It's a great, great segment.
I
Yeah,
thought
for
it fit
sure.
quite nicely with some of the things that people have said to me after I
know, but-
posted.
Going back on why you named it so and giving it an alternative opinion, I think as most world-class clubs get a lot of opinions that are not in their favor, that are not favorable of what they're doing, more so than probably favorable ones.
Yeah.
Media and everybody really holds those clubs to the fire, man. So I think it's I dig it, man. I've read. I mean, I've always read some your posts, and I like it. It's informative. It's honest. Sometimes it's like, but it's true. You gotta look at it, man. It's like, when we're not playing well, we're not playing well. And
That's right.
it is what it is.
But I think that's something. So we've been doing the show for 4 years now, and something that we've always just we're just fans at a bar having a drink, and I haven't been watching as long as you have, but in the length of time I've been watching, I've watched more hours than some people have watched in a lifetime, just because that's who I am, and I like to be analytical and look deep down at it. And you can be mad at a club, you can be mad at a player, you can be mad at a coach, you can be mad at the owner, you can be mad at, but not have it hurt or change how you feel about the club as well at the same time. You know what I mean? And something we've talked about, discussed a lot. It's okay to have a different opinion. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. I was frustrated yesterday. I was disappointed yesterday when we lost. Now I feel bad for the guys that all flew to New York, and Chris, who we love on the show, he was a capo, and it was one of his first, I think, solo ECS Travel Monkey games. And after the game, his first tweet was, "I'm sorry, we tried." And it's like, no, of course you did. I mean, we got the passion. We saw the passion. You guys tried.
Yeah, that was
Unfortunately,
an impressive
the
group.
guys in the field didn't finish, which killed us. But it's okay to have a different opinion. I guess what my whole rant here is it's okay.
It's funny to say that. Like, again, just talking with Adrian and other people from the FO, like in ECS matters. Like, we bring that up all the time, and we're like, this doesn't mean we hate the Sounders. We're allowed to think you made a poor decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or that you shouldn't have started so-and-so, or
Right.
whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, and
that
I think-
doesn't change anything.
I think, it's a good point. I think in a lot of ways, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not an expert on this subject, but I don't feel like there's that culture in other American sports.
It doesn't exist at all.
I think what a lot of people forget is that soccer is born out of the community, in most parts of the world, certainly in England. And so, the community is passionate about it, right? I mean, it's like, that's their club. That's part of who they are. It's not, and there's a temptation, I think, with MLS clubs. It's like, the franchise, you kind of view it as a club, but you kind of view it as a business as well. And you accept that it is a business. And so, you accept they have to do the things that businesses do. Whereas in Europe and South America, I think people view it and they're like, you know what? You're part of our community. You're kind of accountable to us. You are our hope.
To
You
us.
are
Yeah.
You are one thing that kind of keeps
And
us going through the week.
We joke about this a lot, like just soccer friends, Sounder fan friends of mine. We talk about it all the time. We're like, you kind of want them to just have a bad season already, just to A, get it out of the way, and B, like, see what happens. And to be honest, I think we'd have 35,000 and be 5 games out of the playoffs in October or in September. I genuinely think we'll have that.
We would lose maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000.
So get down to
I would be quite happy.
mid-30s, like
I would be quite
low
happy
30s
with
okay.
losing.
Like,
Do you know what? We lose the 10,000 who don't care.
The scalpers.
Fantastic result. Atmosphere in the
I
stadium will be
just
better.
don't think it'll get lower than that.
No, I don't either.
I don't think it will either. It's
I just-
too
If we
impressive.
went
Part of
into
people's
a
life.
if we became a Chivas USA type of club,
it'd
then
take a
it would
couple
change.
years.
But
It'd take a
I'm
couple
talking
years.
about. I'm not talking about just on the field. I'm talking about the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
organization
off and everything.
If they made a string of, and I'm talking a string, not like the string that's happened, but a completely long string of ridiculous antics to get further than that.
Yeah.
But I agree. If we miss the playoffs, which there's a damn good chance that we're going to miss the playoffs, I mean, yeah.
Everyone makes the playoffs, so who knows?
Well, true. Okay, fair enough. But we're only better than Chicago right now, and they don't make the playoffs.
Well, have you looked at the East?
Yeah, but they did now that it's balanced, it doesn't
But
matter.
really, I do believe that, and I will say, as a sports fan and somebody who's lived elsewhere and has seen things where, you know, teams are really, really good and then 5 years later are terrible, and there's 20% of the fans in the stands. I mean, the Mariners have this problem. It's like they've been so awful or up and down every year. They were first place a couple weeks ago, and you could go watch Felix pitch, and there's 14,000 to 17,000 people in the stadium. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think the Mariners have just put people, I'm very off topic now, but, you know, I think Mariners have just put people off over a long period of time.
They
with
did what he said
that
Chivas
whole-
USA would have to do. They just went over a 10-year span where
Yeah,
was
and it
bad
was the on the
decisions,
field
bad
and
decisions.
off the
Yeah.
field
Yeah, it was
stuff.
both.
But I think
Yeah.
there was also the whole way that franchise is constructed was around, which big name free agent can we
Yeah.
sign to get people to come to the stadium?
That's right.
And it wasn't built around, you know, which I think there's kind of the trap the Sounders are kind of a little bit falling into right now is, you know, you have to build a team. You can't build with, you know, by going out and spending all your money
Right.
on one big name player. You have to build.
I'll
You have
take
to-
one right now, though.
Oba.
Sorry.
Yeah,
if you
right.
brought me back an Oba-like player right now, I'm okay spending all that money on
Well,
one
let's
player.
just be clear. Think about last summer. Last summer was worse
Absolutely
than
was.
this run we've had since the beginning of the season. It
Yeah.
was.
Barely.
The window was nuts
Ugh.
in the summer last year.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, but then at the same time,
We were losing
This-
every game 1-0 and letting up goals in the 92nd minute.
but there was hope last year. I mean, the reason we all knew the reason we were struggling was because Oba was injured
Right.
and
Clay
But we
was gone.
started
Dempsey
off
was out.
actually all right.
Yeah,
and
we
then
were
had
strong.
a huge dip.
We
Yeah,
started
yeah,
off fire.
but I mean, the problem started after Oba went.
Yeah.
got hurt. So, but there was hope last year, and we kind of felt like if Oba and Clint came back, then you know we would still be good, and we kind of were. We were all right, and when we got outplayed by Dallas in the playoffs, but you know basically we were all right at the end of the season. But I mean, my concern right now is you know this team's a year older again. And
Right.
we haven't done
Improved,
anything
yeah.
to make this team younger. If anything, you know, it's like what kills me is oh gosh, I'm ranting again. What kills me is you know we've got a team that's way too old, and the player we bring in to try and solve our problems is Hercules Gomez, who's even older than the team we've already got. And it's like that's what worries me. Is it's like someone there has got to realize that this team is way too old.
Well, and that's the frustrating part about what you said before kind of nails it, I think, for me. I mean, and talked with Herc last week, and he's super forthcoming if you chat with him on Twitter or whatever. If they came out and said, we brought in Hercules Gomez, who's played for the national team, to be a mentor for Jordan Morris, just say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody would be like, okay.
Yeah, I'd be
But
fine
if you're
with that.
bringing
Pay
him
him
in
way-
as like your third option, and it's not to say that he could never score a goal, or it's not about that. It's just come out and say what you're doing. Every other sport does that. Like baseball does that. You're like, you go get some veteran at 40
Yeah.
who's hit 50 home runs before to bring in to tutor the 22-year-old rookie, whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and from what I've always heard, he probably is that guy.
Yeah.
But that's not how they're portraying the situation.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I hear we basically got him for nothing, which is great. I mean, you know,
Great.
Clearly, there's no loss kind of scenario, but yeah, I mean,
I think the price was right. He's been. I've enjoyed watching him on the pitch. I've really enjoyed him off the pitch. I enjoyed watching him do the commentary for Copa.
Yeah.
He's a good. We talked to him last week.
He's been
a great guy. I really
great,
enjoyed him, but
breath of fresh air.
he's not. Yeah, but he's not Oba. He's not a replacement. He's not that. You know.
full disclosure, I can't stand him, but
That's fine. Yeah,
just
that's
me.
okay. But again, it's okay not to like everybody.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, right,
a
right.
great thing about this world and where we live. We can talk about that and have that opinion.
Yeah,
I think
but-
you're wrong. You're an idiot. No, I'm kidding. But
I'll
it's
tell you
okay.
what, I will say, and the stuff that the Emerald City supporters do is unbelievable. I mean, it's like
I agree. It's
you know,
terrible. I agree.
No, unbelievably good.
Except for their co-president.
Yeah,
I
the
don't know about that
co-president.
guy.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
well,
about
mean,
that guy sometimes.
But the stuff that what they've achieved here is absolutely incredible. You know,
Absolutely.
The tifo and the especially the travel monkeys, the stuff that they do.
Dude.
You know, I mean, the first time I ever went on an away trip, I went to Chicago in like the second year of our existence, and I was stunned by how well organized it was, and how welcoming they were to everyone who was there to support the Sounders.
They have a lot of love there.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and it's amazing how far Seattle is ahead of most of other MLS teams
Yep. Agreed.
in getting their fans to travel.
I mean, when you're an answer to a Jeopardy question, you made it.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Like 2 days ago or 3
Oh,
days ago.
seriously?
Yeah. There was a home team was the topic, and then the Emerald City supporters are the supporters group for this soccer franchise in what city? Something like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go back and look at that.
They
It's pretty
made
awesome.
Jeopardy. ECS made Jeopardy.
All right, so here we are. We're an hour and 45 minutes in, so we're going to wrap up here. Simon, this was great. And I know you probably have like 8,000 more stories in that brain of yours.
Great
So
times, man.
this won't be the last. If you'll come back, this won't be the last time for sure.
Happy to come back.
One of the things we love doing, I think what we got to do next time is, I know James was coming down, and this was my fault. Next time we're gonna get you and James on here and talk a little bit about you both your memories back in England, because if you'll join us again as well, James.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have you back for sure.
I don't know about that.
But great, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Does
man.
anybody
Thank
else
you
have
so
any last
much.
No, thank
questions?
you.
Oh, do you have anything you want to share with our crowd? The name of your your something.
Are you serious
you want us to
Englishman?
ask or
.wordpress?
share?
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is I'd like to say hi to my wife and son if they're watching in England right now, or in the morning when they get to it. So, hi guys, hope you're having a great time.
Hope you're doing well, Elliot. Keep doing your thing, man. Boxing, karate, soccer, whatever it is, man. You're the man.
He's the
Yeah.
boxing these days. You're in trouble.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
Really? Wow.
Kickboxing, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Keep doing that, dude. Keep doing it. But no, seriously, guys, check out areyouseriousEnglishman.com. Has a lot of great stories in there already. Has a recent piece that kind of touched on what we discussed. Highly recommend his writing. He's fun read. Like you said, Are You Serious? Englishman.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you.
It's kind of
It's
a
been
long
fun
weekend
too.
for a lot of reasons. One, the Sounders, long week, and long week too. Yeah, last week with all of the soccer.
Oh, I don't want
And-
to forget. I do want to say something, though. Big shout out to all you guys and all our friends, everybody that made a lot of supportive, great feedback on the announcing that I did.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't even talk about that. Jesus.
It's all good. James was instrumental. It was a high of all highs for the week, and the feedback I got afterwards and during it was like I'm not gonna lie, I got teary-eyed, man. I cried a little bit.
Here, I'll let Mark talk, and then I'm gonna talk.
My dad, I talked to my dad for like an hour afterwards, and hearing his pride over his phone was crazy.
It was so cool to be in the stadium and hear your voice, and like every game with James, like, oh, I know him, but it's like, Hugo, that's my boy. That's who we spend a lot of time together, and we've traveled together, and so I felt a lot of pride just standing there and not knowing 3/4 of what you said, but knowing it was your voice. And I turned to my little brother and my stepmom, and I was like, I know him. That's my buddy Hugo.
No.
And it was the
cool,
coolest thing.
Yeah, and it was really cool. It didn't dawn on me like that the way that everybody felt. Like I think it was Heather that made a point that she was really proud that I was representing, in the ECS, made a shout out, and everybody, and then it kind of dawned on me that I am one of us. I am a small part of everybody that has been on road trips, supporting pain. That's everything. So. Yeah, but it just felt really cool to be able to share, with the world, because I'm glad I didn't know that till afterwards. It was like 5 million some people, that it was one of our voices that's in the stadium, that's in the stands, that's part of our city, club, and community.
5.7 million.
7 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but seriously.
Well, it's great because every time we go into the stadium, we hear James, and the one you were gone for like one game, and it was he was fine, but it wasn't James. And when you came back, or every time I start the season off, it's like I'm home again. I hear James there, and then to hear from my house your voice, I wasn't at the game. It's amazing. We're so proud of you.
Yeah.
I mean, you are one of us. You are, but you're special.
No,
You're unique.
I think we are
And-
special. Like I do it because of everybody that's here, here doing this at the matches. I go to S2 doing it because I love doing it, because everybody would do it.
Yeah.
You would be doing it.
It was super fun because I had heard the rumor the day before, and then we were all at S2 together.
Yeah.
And it was funny because a couple of us that had heard were like, Ugo seems super nervous right now. And you were just chilling, and we were on the top of the stands, hanging out at halftime or whatever, and shooting the breeze. And then afterwards, I saw Al, and I was like, hey, I heard a rumor. And he's like, yes, it's true. Because he knew what the question was.
Yep.
And, like, I had shared it with a couple of people in ECS, and everyone was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and
I
then
think
Hugo
everybody
didn't
was
want to.
super jazzed
Hugo didn't want to
about it.
announce it.
Yeah,
He
I
all
actually
day
texted
long.
Mark. I texted Mark,
He
and I was
texted
like,
us-
yo,
Yeah.
is he going to say something? He's like, I don't know. Let me check.
And he's like, well, should I or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good, but I was like,
But the funny
that
part
would have
was
been awesome. That would have been awesome.
StubHub prices went back up after Hugo's announcement. So,
No, but that was
coincidence or
really
not.
awesome. So
It
congratulations.
was, man, and I'm glad that. I mean, I'm just glad that it happened, even if I
Yep.
don't get to do another game.
Now you're
That
on the
night-
list.
That list is that game, and
Well, and that's your second game at the Clink doing it. So
yeah, but this is the first international. No, I did Sholos. Sholos.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was beyond epic. Like
Yeah.
the crew there is top notch.
Yep, I agree.
Like really like we really have really good game production
Yep.
crew. Like really good.
That's
and you guys
awesome.
saw like the whole debacle with other
Yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
Like what they do there, and having me come in like nothing. Like they made it really easy. And James having my back there.
Yeah.
Spotter.
A good
really
spotter.
good spotter. How about Kiri?
I wanted to give a shout out to Simone Vargas, and I feel really bad.
Who?
You know that guy who scored 4 goals?
All right, I want to raise a toast to two people. One to Hugo for your awesomeness, and two to Don Ruiz, who is his last day is this weekend for the Tacoma News Tribune.
Thank you, Don.
But Don's been a
Don,
guest, and he
man.
will join us
You're
again.
the man.
We love Don. We wish Don nothing but the best.
And to Simon, thank you for joining
and to Simon
us.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Not for the last time, so definitely have to have you back
Yeah,
when it
that'd
works
be
for your
great.
schedule. And you like Marmite. Oh,
don't announce that, man.
All right.
Ugh.
Or Eduardo Vargas, by the way. It's like Simone Vargas,
right.
but it's Eduardo. That's Simone.
Hey, the more Vargas you have, the better.
I think of a boxer, man. So I'm thinking of
Damn.
a boxer.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up.
Mark's
Thanks everybody.
texting. He can't run the credits
Yeah.
yet.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks,
Simon,
guys.
thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everybody.
man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Absolutely outstanding.
You are the man, dude.
See you guys next week.